You are now listening to the Sae Bae Cast, the #1 old school RuneScape podcast featuring guests from all across Galanor. To support this podcast, visit the Patreon link in the description.
All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast number 52 with Dino XX. What up, Dino? How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting getting you on. We were just talking for a little bit right beforehand, but a lot to cover today. That you're the third PKer slash PvPer. You know what? I want to ask you, like, just straight up, like, what is the difference for you that's like PvP and PKing, or is there a difference? Like, just definition wise.
I honestly, I think everyone has a different definition. I've always seen PvP as like PvP worlds. I know it's actually not, but I've always just say PK because whenever I think of PvP, I think of like, Magic Shortbow, Gmaul sort of PKing.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, if you ask any PK that question, they'll all say different. It's one of them things that's just preference, what people use.
Yeah.
Um,
So what do you prefer to be called, a PKer or a PvPer? I guess
yeah,
PKer always sounds better. I don't know why. At least
Yeah, I always go PK, PKing. I never really say, but technically it is PvP because it's player versus player,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, let's kind of get into it for those that don't know. And I mean, if anybody is like following the Twitch category, you've definitely heard of Dino by now. But if you'd like to just briefly kind of go into who you are and what got you into streaming and stuff, like, that'd be cool, just for people to learn about you a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely wouldn't say people have heard of me before, but
I don't know, man.
Um,
Like, this past year has been just great for you. Like, I've seen your numbers, your consistency is just fantastic. So, like, you're killing
yeah,
it, and it's cool to
this
see.
year on Twitch has been, especially since Dead Memo, the last few months has been
Yeah.
insane. But yeah, I basically started streaming about 2.5 years ago, but for the first year, it was pretty much sort of pulling 20 viewers, just sort of doing some multi-PKing with some mates. I only started getting into it because one of my friends wanted to start to stream, and he was too scared to do it on his own. So I never intended on streaming. I only literally started streaming because he wanted me to. Um, and yeah, sort of the first year went from 20 viewers, and then we started getting into more sort of actual PK streaming. And things just sort of went from there. Started building up a little community, and it's been going pretty good. It's been going pretty good.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's cool to see just how streaming can just pop off. Just you're just doing your thing, like nothing, like, I don't know if you felt like anything's really changed, like something that you've done, or you're just doing your thing and people come.
Yeah, well, literally, I haven't changed anything. I feel like that's bad. When people see, and again, this isn't like a brag, but they see numbers, they're quite like, we're pulling some decent viewers of late, and I feel like they think I know a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
I'm still literally, I just push go live. I don't know what I'm doing. It's just kind of worked out. And then people ask me questions of streaming, and some like other streamers as well. And I'm just there shaking and replying like, how is this man talking to me? Yeah, it's definitely stumbled into it, but
Yeah. It's cool to see, and I'm happy for like all your success. It's just cool. And you also have a YouTube, up and coming YouTube, looks like. Yeah, I think it's just a compilation kind of YouTube where you put your stream clips, right?
yeah, I was gonna say it's again a bit of a stretch, but yeah, it's basically we just throw because again I think people underestimate the time if you're streaming like every day to like be able to do like a full YouTube as well. Well, I
Oh,
struggle with that.
yeah.
Um, so I literally just do a weekly video of Twitch highlights because especially after lockdown now, lots of people are working and they miss streams. So they actually requested me to do that so that they can catch up.
Yeah.
Um, which is working quite well. It's working quite well. Gets lots of complaints though. People in the comments are like, "I've already seen this on stream," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's a highlight video."
Yeah. No, I think the highlight is actually just like such a cool idea, because it's just like you're not even reinventing any new content. You're just getting all the good shit and just putting it in one video.
Yeah,
See, I don't
it's
really
nice.
do. Yeah. Like,
It, it's
sorry.
just popping it in one place. No, no, no. Sorry, yeah, I was just saying it's just popping it in one place for people who do
Yeah.
miss stuff, who can't watch every day, which is fully acceptable. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any other plans for your YouTube, by the way? I know like just, and I totally agree with you. Doing streaming and YouTube, like trying to pull both of those is pretty tough. Especially if you're gonna stream every day, like it gets
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. Like I said, by no means am I going to try and pretend it's like the hardest job in the world. It's not, but it's just time consuming, you
Yeah.
know. In the future, yeah, I'd like to get more on YouTube because I do think YouTube is probably quote bigger than Twitch in a
Yeah.
respect.
100%.
But I just personally prefer streaming to like getting clean clips and then making videos. I've never really been into that side of things too much, you know. But yeah, one day we'll see.
Cool. Okay. I want to kind of step back once again and ask about your RuneScape history. So, when did you start old school, and also like when did you start playing as a kid, if you did?
I Yeah, I started playing in 2000 and I want to say five, but I can never actually remember. It was 2005 or 2006. Um, Back then I was what, seven, eight, so pretty young. My brother started playing it. I think it's the same as West Ham, because I watched his podcast back and he said the same thing. His brother got him into it.
Yeah.
At a very basic level. Like I was bad, but like you guys back then it's just a game. You know, you play it for fun. Literally become addicted. But back then we was allowed sort of an hour a day on it. You know,
Yep.
as kids you have to have your limits.
Yep.
And we'd be pushing each other off the computer so the other one could get on and have their hour slot at like 7 a.m. and then be bored for the rest of the day.
Then think about what you're gonna do for the next day, basically.
Yeah,
On
no, but we
RuneScape.
was basically planning our next hour. It was like, okay, tomorrow's hour, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. And that
But
was like normal. That like because I literally had an hour. Like my dad set up a program that shut off the PC after an hour. It was brutal.
damn, that's good. That's better than we used to just have like fights. My dad would be like, yeah, get off, and I'm like, I don't want to. But no, it's I think most people, I say, done the same thing back then because it was very normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, started playing in 2006. So I've been playing, or 2005. So I've been playing for a long old time.
Okay. And did you play through EOC and stuff?
Yeah, I played. When did ESC come out? 2012?
I don't even. I always think 2012 EOC. That's just,
Yeah,
I wasn't
I can't
actually
even
playing
remember the
that.
exact date. Well, we'll go with 2012. People are probably going to be flaming me like, how does he not know this? But no, I did play it for a bit, and I actually didn't mind it at the beginning. But it's then when you realize it's fully replaced the game that you used to love. It's like, okay, this sucks.
Yeah.
But for a bit, I learned it, and I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. But it got very boring very quick, and I was like, I miss because it was a different game. It was a completely different PvP side of things, and I'm assuming PVM side of things. It was a complete different game.
Yeah. Have you just always been into PvP ever since a kid?
Um, yes and no. For the first sort of 2 years, I'd say I'd done anything. Um, like I'd be the guy shaking doing quests, like not knowing what I'm doing, running around
Yeah.
with trout. But again, I think that's just down to age. Um, but from I'd say 2008, I've just focused on PKing, mainly free to play back then. But
The good old
yeah,
days. Free to
yeah,
play PKing was so.
Maple short bow.
Yeah. I remember Fire Strike just terrified me. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure I had nightmares of just getting Fire Strike by multiple people.
that I would say I'd done that for a solid year. Varrock multi ditch.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
ever?
Oh, yeah, yeah, of course. Like you go up that
Yeah,
trail. Yeah.
yeah, and you'd be there, and you'd PK on account and get it to about Earth Strike, and then you'd PK till it had Firebolt, and then you'd make a new one, and you just do
Yeah.
that
That was
for
literally
like a
it.
year straight. It was like you made teams, you like BS'd your teams. It was fantastic. It was
It was really good time. It was like, I mean, it was high risk because back then you're like poor as fuck, but it was just fun because it just felt like you could just always kind of go out there, you know?
you could just go and have fun. But again,
Yeah.
I think that comes down to age. Like no one played for efficiency back then, did they?
Yeah, yeah.
You would just sit there fire striking people for months on end, making teams BSing each other for like 5k. But no one cared because it was fun. Whereas that
Yeah.
wouldn't happen now because it's like, oh, I could be killing Vorki or
Yeah. That's the sad reality. But okay, let me ask you this. Like, is it a sad reality? Because sometimes I think, like, we're growing up and, like, things will never be the same again. We just have to, like, accept it. So, like, there's no
Yeah,
way to artificially push to have fun again. As much as people on Reddit love to do that, like, stop being efficient. It's like, it's like, I don't know.
just
Like,
grown up,
we're just built different now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a bad thing, especially for IRL stuff. But I do definitely miss the aspect of just sort of having fun. If it
Yeah.
was still a thing now, I would still do that for months personally. But it's just I know it wouldn't be the same. There wouldn't be anywhere near as many people. People would be toxic, and it's just not the same, you know.
That's a good point.
But back then, you could get BS by a team, and you just laugh and gear up. Now, they'd make a Reddit post, and you'd be cancelled.
Yeah, for real. Times change, dude. It's just weird.
It's a sad time, but yeah,
Yeah.
for the better probably. But
Yeah, for sure. That's what I think. Okay, so your journey with Old School, did you start on release of Old School or what?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I
Day one?
remember. Yep, day one.
Hell
I
yeah.
voted on like the poll when it came out, and I was all excited. And but obviously, it wasn't cool at school, so I was excited to myself. I didn't exactly go around bragging, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but then I found out. I spoke to some mates the other week that they was all done the exact same as me. Like they was all voting and played it day one, but no one said it. You know, you didn't want to admit to that.
Yeah. Yeah. God damn it, dude.
um,
Saying the word
but yeah.
RuneScape, like, I just,
Literally,
yeah.
it cancelled you at school. Everyone was like, "What a loser!" But no, it turns out again in my group of mates that I have now, I would say 80% of them were the exact same as me. Maybe didn't play as much, but was all playing it.
Yeah.
But whenever anyone mentioned it, they would all lay into him like, "Oh, what a loser!" But yeah, just shows you never know. You never
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Yeah,
But yeah,
but
I
yeah,
remember.
how did that go? The Old School journey.
Well, it sounds like I said I made it up. I can remember the first thing I'd done was I went and fished some shrimp at Alcarid, um, and then went straight to the Wildy. And there was a group of, I'd say, about four of us, just like boxing each other, just literally just like fighting because we just wanted to see what it was like again, you know.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I'd say the first two, I want to say 2 weeks, but my scale could be off there, was the most exciting PK I think I've ever done, and I'm not even joking. Like I remember running around in like full iron and iron skimmy, and I saw someone a strength at me, and I PK'd it from them, and I was over the moon. Like that was game changing, you know.
damn.
Um, it was so fun. It was just so fun because everything was an upgrade because it's so new. Whereas yeah, now you PK a max set and you just throw it in your bank for some GP. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, never. It was like the dead man mode feeling, you know, where just
Yeah.
everything was an upgrade.
Yeah,
It
that's
was,
actually kind of a good comparison. It's almost like the Iron Man version of PKing, where it's like those little upgrades are just massive, but like you don't see them as massive when you just play the game for so long. I don't know.
yeah, well, there was just none in the game because it was so new. So, for example, a strength amulet. I remember someone saying like selling strength amulet 7K, and 7K was probably the equivalent to max cash stack now. It was ridiculous. So when I PK'd that, I was over the moon.
That's so
And you see,
sick.
and again, it's just as the game's gone on, obviously people get better. People learn it down to a T. You know, they make no mistakes. Back then, everyone was just running in, had no idea what they were doing, myself included, and it was just great.
Yeah, just the good old days, the innocent days. So, what got
Yeah.
you into more? Well, here, let me just ask you, like, what kind of PKer do you see yourself as, and when did that transition kind of
Um,
happen? I guess.
I would say I'm like a deep-wildy tribrid sort of PKer.
Okay.
Uh, done like the teams sort of stuff, like fall-ins, which I know a lot of people complain about. Um, but yeah, I would say I've fit in that since 2014, so sort of after the first year of old school. I did dabble in it a bit pre-EOC, but I'm talking I was a noob. Like I had a
Yeah.
polypore staff, I was running around deep wildy, killing green dragon bots. Like I wouldn't class myself as feared, put it
Yeah.
that way. Um, but no, yeah, I would say I sort of fell in deep wildy PK from 2014 onwards, like properly.
Okay. What's the best kind of, in your opinion? What's the most respectable type of PKer? Do you think it's deep wildy?
It's
Just
all
like
different.
I don't even know how to say it. Like respectable might not be the right word, but like just like what's the best? I don't know. In your opinion, what's the coolest kind of PKer?
In my opinion, it's always been tribrid because from when I've seen it, it was always been the hardest thing to do. Um, some people might disagree with that now and say like hybrid or high risk, tick eating, all that's not tick eating, but like triple eating and all that stuff. Um, I've always seen tribrid as top tier, and I think that just goes back to like 2007 when no one really done it or very few people done it, and the people who done it you were seen as gods.
Yeah.
Um, when in reality they was just camping a whip and chucking the odd ice blitz on someone, but they were seen as like on another level.
Yeah.
It's
You
I've
got like
always just
those
looked up to it,
five
and that's
tick
why I wanted to go.
switches. Like those
Yeah, literally, like one item at a time, and people are, oh my god, he's got five different gear switches. What is this?
maining the god sword and everything. Like those old videos, just god sword
Yeah.
fighting. Just take swings at each other.
So throw some metal music on there, and you're sorted. You've got a good time.
Oh god. You know what? Like those actually fucking slap. It's like those old skateboarding videos. Like whenever you see like an old nostalgic PKing video from like 2008 or some shit, which reminds me of like those 90s skate videos, like or like early 2000s, I guess.
Literally, they don't age. You watch them, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is sick. Whereas you can watch someone now do the cleanest 12 ways one tick switch. It doesn't compare.
Yeah,
They're not as good.
it doesn't hit the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've always seen kind of like that. Okay, well, here, let me ask this because, again, I'm not a PKer. I've spent a fair share out in the wilderness.
Hmm.
So just to kind of preface, like I have completed revs. I spent like 3 months there straight, nonstop. I'm talking like at least 12 hours a day for 3 months. Like
I feel sorry for
it's
you.
just yeah.
If,
And
if, if you were PVMing, I'm sorry.
I
It's
mean, it
it.
was like a different time compared to now because it was multi. So
Mhm.
it was like I don't know, like the first month was brutal, I'm not gonna lie, but then like teams started forming and that protection clan started forming, and it was like
Oh,
the early days of it where it wasn't really a real thing yet, and like the payment, like you paid the PKers 15 mil for life to be protected, then it became like 300 mil for 2 weeks or some shit, but
that
that's besides
that
the
was the start of my streams. I done multi revs for the first year.
oh really
All them protection team, like obviously we didn't get on with the protection teams. They weren't as nice as they seemed to the PVMers. Let's just say, like we'd log into their worlds and like I don't want to go calling out any names, like but we'd log into the wrong world and I just have like 10 Discord DMs like, how dare you attack us? We're gonna end your stream, and
so
just don't. And then
stupid.
yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of the protection clans, but I do fully know what you mean.
yeah, and like
Revs is what started us.
yeah, and so when you ask like if on the PVM side, I mean, I would flip flop all the time. In fact, you're just spending so much time out there because I went like almost 40,000 dry for my first weapon. So it's just
Yeah.
like that was just my life at that point, was just go to revs, do nothing else. It didn't even feel like the same game. In fact, I kind of want to ask you, like, do you see RuneScape and PKing as like two separate kind of games? Like that's how it felt for me. It felt like revs was like a different server. It was just like so foreign to what I had ever played before, which is just Iron Man and skilling and PVM and stuff. And then revs was like, what the fuck am I playing? This is like the mob. Like I'm dealing with like an online mob right now.
Multi revs was definitely something else. I say so some good memories, some bad memories, but yeah, it was definitely different. Even from coming from like a PKN side of things, it was still different to anything I've seen. I've never seen like it be that political with teams,
Yeah.
locking stuff down. Actually, because again, we all know the team's real world traded. Actually making like it their job
Yeah.
to protect people, and that's why they took it so serious. So when I log in with like 80 ballistas on stream, they would they'd be protecting their livelihood. So they'd be coming at me, they'd be like, if you dare do this, I'm coming for you. It was serious, It
Yeah.
was which I think killed it in a way. I did think that killed it. But
Yeah, I kind of want to. I know I'm on like three different things right now, trying to explain myself, but I'm just gonna keep rambling about other things. What did do you think that multi revs, how it was? was inherently bad, or do you think they could have just kept it the way it was?
They couldn't have kept it the way it was. However, I only stream singles plus rev caves now at the moment, so it seems hypocritical, but I'm sure we'll get into that later because it's the only active spot. But I'm sure we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
In terms of multi revs, I personally believe it was better in the game than the singles plus revs right now. I think all they had to do was add the entrance fee, which they done with the singles plus update, and they're like, oh look, it's fixed. But I honestly think if they just done that, the reason the protection teams were such an issue were they were ragging teams out, like actual teams with one item Crystal Halley, and because it was their job, they would. I remember there was a fight that lasted for like 72 hours. They would just keep coming back with a Crystal Halley, and there would be sort of two teams of like 50, just one item in each other.
Yikes.
You know?
Yeah. And that wouldn't happen with a fee, right?
Yeah, well, with a fee, it might still happen, but it would encourage people to hit the worlds because you would take 100k for them each time. And
That's
say
true.
it's multi, you get them in a 10-man barrage clump. That's a mil, you know? And because you're there risking 100k, they probably then wouldn't want a one item because they'd want to try and protect their 100k. So they then gear up. And I think it would have fixed itself, personally. The only reason Revs was an issue was because of the ragging culture, which the 100k would have fixed, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a little dumb now thinking about it, how they like push too many things on at once. It's like all you had to do was make one change.
Yeah.
And you were good.
It's because the reason I always say protection, because I do think the protection CCs were the main issue, because they were the ones farming all the gold and being toxic and everything, you know.
Yeah.
If they would have forced them to risk 100k, every little team and even groups of friends would have hit them because it was still money. The reason teams didn't hit them and they got away with real world trading so much money was because no one wanted to get ragged.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
I do think that would have been fixed, but
it's
too late now.
Is the 100k fee good enough?
I think so. I honestly think so, because again, I don't know how familiar you are with multi-PKing, but it would literally be people weren't bringing any food. They were just tellying up with a Crystal Halley, trying to poke 30 damage on someone, dying, coming back with their Crystal Halley because they didn't lose anything.
Yeah. Now I totally know.
If they lost 100k a time, they would either A, lose a lot of money, and it would encourage the PKers to PK there because they'd be making money, or B, they would gear up so they didn't lose money so easily, and then it would be a normal fight.
That's true.
It's just the whole ragging thing ruined it completely.
Yeah,
I have a
actually
clip of me on stream. I think I had like 50 Crystal Hallies, all spamming loads of racist stuff, like get off our worlds.
God.
And I was just like, okay, I'm not coming back here then. Whereas that wouldn't have happened, you know?
Yeah, that's obnoxious. I do kind of empathize with that. I think they should make one change at a time, and that would have probably fixed it.
Yeah, so I went on a bit of a rev rant then, not gonna lie, but it's just because that's all for the first year I say I've streamed. That was all I'd done, so I was very involved, and I do feel like it could have been saved, and it was just kind of suicided. It was like, okay, we don't like how this revs is. Let's just change everything and forget it.
Yeah, that's a little unlucky. I see, like, I got my weapons all within the span of like 4 days at the end of the 3 months, and then I just dipped because I was like, I can't be here any longer. And you know how it is, but when you're dealing with the clan itself, just that extreme mob mentality, you have degenerates, and I mean the most degenerate of degenerates out there that will waste 18 hours of their day for weeks on end just ragging you.
Oh, 100%.
It's like
100%.
Bro, what the fuck? Like, what is your life? Like, I just want to like see like your life. Like, you literally log in, and I swear to God, because I was also a degenerate just trying to kill my monster, so I know they were logged in for 18 hours a day, and then they would do the same thing, just repeat, for weeks. I was like, dude, this is like a different fucking category of just toxicity. Like, there was no stopping them. You couldn't convince them.
It got really deep again with the teams, because with the protectors, there was like anti-protectors who used to be protectors and then didn't like what the new ones were doing. So they were making their they were purposely ragging the raggers, and then
Anti-
at the end of the day, the PVMers ones that suffered because they were the ones getting farmed. And yeah, it was all just got so political. It was ridiculous.
I will say, just for the benefit of multi-revs, there was some really, really exciting things about just being in the revs. It was like a lifestyle almost. There was something kind of cool about it. It was community driven. You know, there was a shit ton of toxicity and stuff, but like for the most part, it was still cool because you're out there with your boys, you know, and like you have your own little team. Other people would come. I remember like I think I've talked about it with West Ham and stuff if you remember that, but you know, we would camp Sparkmax stream just waiting for his tribe to come and stuff. Like it was so fun, you know.
No, it was one of very few places where you could PK with some mates in multi and be guaranteed action and also probably make a bit of money.
Yeah.
But I feel like whenever anyone remembers multi revs, they just remember the negative side of things, and I do feel bad for that because there was so many positives, but no one talks about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of them sad things.
I kind of wonder now, looking from my perspective, if let's just say they just added the fee, so just like 100K, still the same thing. I wonder how bad that would be for like just the PVMers going out there that are alone. You know, they pay 100K, die instantly. Pay 100K, die. It's like Jesus Christ. Like, I kind of wonder what the dynamic would have.
I don't think it would have been that bad because you're already risking the bracelet, right?
That's true.
And not most people, I'd say some, I don't know percentages, would be in like a crawls or a mace to speed it up.
That's actually true.
I think having the fee would have just limited the massive clans who weren't attacking each other and was just making everyone's lives hell by ragging. Personally, I don't think it would have had a negative impact on the PVMers. Yeah, you'd all be risking a little bit more.
That's actually a good point.
Not a noticeable amount.
I forget about Ether. You're already risking a bunch of stuff. And generally, when you go out there, like back in multi, like some people would bring a bulwark. I remember like before scold revs were really known, just camp a bulwark and a blowpipe, and then have a shit ton of brews. So
yeah, and a lot of time PVMers would be a lot tankier than the PKers because they'd have more food. They wouldn't be scold a lot of the times, like you say, bulwark or like a staff crystal shield, and they'd be able to get out a lot of the time. Obviously, not when there's 80 ballistas logging in. But it's just different scales. If you're PKing with a couple mates and it's having a fun time, a few PVMers will probably escape, which is how it should be, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole dynamic just sort of got ruined towards the end because of the player base. Really, the players ruined it.
Yeah.
It is what it is, you know.
And like, there's a lot of just kind of like generalization. Like I feel like the thing that was really pushed, at least for Iron Man, was revs is busted. People are making 10 mil an hour. Because you would see the very, very few people that would do revs with protection off hours, killing like the orc and the dark beast or whatever.
Yeah.
Making just filthy amount of money. But that's not really a consistent thing. And so people would kind of like showcase that, like, this is how busted this thing is. And I don't know. I mean, the loot was busted. But...
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say just like the loot was kind of busted, but like that was just over. I don't know.
So I know we keep going off on tangents, and it's my fault. I think I keep getting you further away.
I love the tangents, dude. Go for it.
Okay. It's the same with singles plus revs now. Like I remember when it came out, people are like, "Oh, this is broken. You can make so much money, like 6 mil an hour." But when you actually take into account that one, you're risking getting attacked, because people are like, oh, you can come here whenever, you know, you can go, whereas Vorki, you need to go to quests, it should be a lot better. But people forget that one, you're risking if you die. Two, you're probably going to be getting attacked quite a lot, which is slowing your GP per hour down because you're tanking, and if you escape, you then go to the bank, you then re-gear, you come back. People just don't think about that sort of stuff with the worldie. They see like 7 mil an hour.
Tracker. Yeah, they just look at the loot tracker. Kind of.
Yeah, they don't actually take into account that there's a lot of variables, especially with wilderness. Whereas with Vorki, it's pretty much guaranteed GP per hour.
Yeah,
it's
and like risk free and AFK, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did. I did a few hours of revs and I made a little video of it when that new update came out. I loved it, but that was back when the update hit and nobody was really out there yet. At least that's kind of what I saw. Was I just had the dragon to myself for like hours on end. Like it would just be like a full hour no seeing anybody, just camping one world. And
Yeah,
then,
well, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, this is going to be really awkward. I'm putting myself out here. But I think he was in my stream at the time, and we were talking as you were farming them.
yeah,
And I was sort of PKing there. And I was saying the same. Like,
it was still dead. It was dead that morning.
no one realized. No one realized how much money you could actually make. And then as soon as the next day came by, it was packed. It was.
That's so funny because like that's totally true. You got all these people like kind of waiting around, like watching YouTube videos and stuff, like seeing how good it is, and then like the next day is like the flood.
Yeah, this is kind of scummy. So please don't cancel me on Reddit, people. But when you see like a Torvesta video drop, and there was one recently where he was PKing at the North Orc in Revs in like a lot of risk.
Yeah.
And he was like, I never die. If I go and PK there the next day, there are so many people doing the same thing, and I get so much loot because it's like people trying it, you know.
That's fucking
People
funny.
forget how much influence like YouTube videos and that have on the community because it is a lot.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is, I don't know. I think there's like a general kind of consensus that people think like PvP's dying. And you know, I don't know. That's too general of a saying to say PKing is dying. But bro, my best ever video was that PKing video of me out in the Rev Cave. Not even PKing, just being out in the wilderness. So it totally shows you that there is a lot of appetite for PKing and PvP and wilderness stuff.
I would say it's the exact same with Deadman. Everyone says Deadman's dead, and the players might not be like the player count might not be insane. I don't know, but there is so much interest because I personally believe it is a higher skill level than most PVM, at least the top tier of it.
Oh no, I agree. There's so much more competition too.
Yeah, for example, Deadman. I think Twitch Old School had over 100,000 viewers on the Deadman Reborn final, which we won't go into, or not yet anyway. But it just shows that there's such an interest in PKing because I think it's because not everyone can do it. So I've always found content, be it streams or YouTube, of PKing seem to do very, very well because there is that interest.
Yeah.
It's just people don't want to do it themselves.
Yeah, maybe that is it. Because, I mean, look at Torvesta. He puts out a video. It's just him fucking killing some people for 10 minutes with some commentary.
Literally, he's cracked it. Is he 500,000 YouTube subscribers now, or approaching?
He's very close, I think, to 500,000.
It will literally be him, you know, messing around in a PvP world. I'm not trying to disrespect him at all. Like, he's obviously can PK, but like, oh no, I've put my foot in it. It's like nothing insane, you know.
No, it's just you just go and making like a little video. Like, dude, you could have done this in a couple hours.
Oh my god, he's amazing. PvP is sick, and it's like, yeah, this is good. You know, it's definitely a good thing.
No, I guess
it just shows the interest there.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show like there is still a ton of interest in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay, here, let me give a counterpoint just real quick. I wonder if part of it is because there are so limited channels out there that do kind of do PKing nowadays. But you have like a absolute flood, like a plethora of new Iron Man Snowflake accounts. And so those are just overly saturated. But I don't actually know.
Very possibly. I would definitely, you know, you said earlier about PvP or PKing being dead. I would definitely say it is dead compared to what it used to be. There is a fraction of people doing it, and then there's even a smaller fraction of people making content. So it's, yeah, I guess if it's like anything, if there's less channels, they will probably get more views because there's more clicks on it, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, there's definitely nowhere near there's definitely more Iron Man videos than there are PKM videos.
Yeah, it's pretty overly saturated. In fact, I was just looking up, it must have been a week ago or something. I was just looking up on YouTube, just random. I just looked up Snowflake Iron Man. Dude, you scroll through, just look up Snowflake Iron Man on YouTube. It's like there is a billion different concepts that people have tried to make series of because of like Swampletics and stuff. And Cromja only,
Yeah.
caveman only. Like they're every single idea you've ever thought of for like a Snowflake Iron Man has already been created on YouTube with several episodes. I swear to God, it's so weird.
You think of it, you search it, it's there. It's already been done
It
last year,
literally,
know.
I'm not even kidding, dude. I was like, I wonder if anybody's made like a Falador only Iron Man. Well, I didn't actually think that, but I saw it. I was like, what the like? There actually is like a Falador only. Some dude just walking around Falador. Like, what the hell? Anyway,
I don't even want to get in like how I don't know. My mind doesn't even comprehend. Like I could not play the game and just stay in Falador. Well, what do you do? Like go
dude,
and buy something from the armor shop and then I don't know.
it has to like you can't actually enjoy that. Like that is incredibly limited. Like there's no way they're actually enjoying it. They're enjoying like the YouTube series aspect of it.
I guess, yeah.
That
Yeah,
has
and
to
that
be
makes
it.
sense. That makes sense. But yeah, like, I just couldn't bring myself to waking up every day. It was bad enough PKing when PKing was like dead a few months back, like waking up hopping wilds. But
Yeah.
that sounds better than running around Falador. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, people always okay, not people always. Let me stop generalizing, but I've heard some suggestions where people want revs to be roaming. And apparently they used to roam. Again, I didn't really play from 2008 to 2014. I didn't play at all. So don't really know the concept of it. Does that work or is that just a stupid idea and you need to have it as a hotspot?
I was a bit of a noob back in the day, so I'm not too sure of the bonuses of having roving revs. From my understanding, it was awful. But that was just me sort of killing the odd rev, getting like nothing from it, and it just randomly attacking you. You know, there may have been like a whole scene that I didn't realize back then. I'm not sure. But as far as I'm aware, the roving revs was not a good update. It just spread everything out. You get randomly get attacked out of nowhere. And I remember, I think I was at like East Dragons, and I think it was like a Rev Orc or something. Again, we're talking about what 10 years ago now plus. And I was a big noob, and I killed it, and I was so happy, and it dropped nothing, and I was like, oh, okay, this is depressing.
This is fun.
It's
And they
I
were
don't know what
brutal
they
back
dropped.
then, weren't they? Weren't they like super powerful?
I got destroyed by it. I remember that, but I probably didn't have a bracelet or whatever it was back then. But yeah, I didn't I don't like the idea of spreading it out loads because I feel like with how busy and active PvP is at the moment, you need hotspots. I feel like spreading it
I agree.
everywhere is just going to make it too impossible to find anything. But yeah, I could be wrong there because I don't know too much about it. There might be some little gremlins around being like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I will agree. I will agree. I don't know what I'm talking about there.
No, I think
But
I
yeah.
agree with you. I think most people agree. I just have to ask because I have no idea how it was for roaming revs. The other thing is people I've heard have suggested to limit worlds where you can be in the wilderness. So only having like 10 or 20 worlds that have wilderness access. Is that good? Or like what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not opposed to limiting worlds. I think having 10 or 20 would be too little, personally.
Yeah.
It,
Oh yeah,
it's,
that
it,
probably is a bit too little maybe.
it's going to massively come down to what they do with the wildy in terms of making it singles plus. Because if, say that you limit it to 5 worlds or 10 worlds, and there's a team at a location, that's their location. There's no way of getting away from that, you know?
That's true.
But if they make it singles plus, I don't know. I'm all for the limiting worlds, but maybe going back to like, you know, when old school started, I think there was 75 worlds, roughly, something like that.
Wow.
I feel like that would be good. There's like more chance of finding people, but it's still not, you're just finding the same people over and over. It's not forced, but it's more common, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
So about like 75 is what you're kind of
But
suggesting.
I'd personally say that would be decent because I feel like at the moment there are too many worlds. Before the Rev update, I would spend. I think the most I ever done was 5 hours hopping at Altar, and I found one guy with a rune crossbow, and I was so happy.
What the
Um,
fuck?
there's just no. You got to think. Again, I don't know numbers, but say there's 100 PKs in the wilderness. There's so many different locations, and there's so many different worlds. The chances of actually bumping into someone is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
because it could be Altar, Callisto, Venenatus, Mage Bank. There's so many, so many places, and then across however many worlds there are now, the likelihood of actually randomly bumping into someone is
Oh,
too small.
it's really rare. Now that you think about it, because I feel like PVMers will think that you're getting attacked a lot in the wilderness, but you're only ever counting the times where you are found by a PKer. But
Yeah.
nobody ever actually takes into account how many times you're not found, because oh my god, yeah, like
Yeah, there was a very bad period of before, and that's why I still stand by I'm against singles plus, but I do like the revs because it has brought activity.
yeah.
But before the rev update, that for a good few months it was just hopping, and it's hard to stream that because my chat's like just find a fight, and I'm like, yeah, if it was that easy, I would.
Yeah.
It was a bad time. It was a very bad time. It just wasn't active. It was dead. That was dead. I will go on saying that was dead.
It was rough, and I remember just seeing a bunch of tweets from other content creators just not having a fun time in the game. It was just so boring. There was nothing really
Yeah,
going on for PvP.
even like legends like Abyss, like he's in my eyes, he's like the father of streaming PK, and he's always done it from when
Yeah.
I used to watch, and he'd be like, "This is the worst it's ever been." He would just hop at 44s all day, every day, have to set up his own fights to get content.
Yikes.
Or not set up, but like someone in chat, he asked someone in chat to
Yeah.
fight him, and then, which is fair because you just want to fight. It was bad. It was very bad.
Yeah. What do you think about singles plus? So, what I've kind of heard is the new Rev caves. Like, generally, you're never gonna find a solo PKer anymore. It's always like a guy with a telly blocker.
Yeah,
Is that kind of how it goes now?
yeah. I do that, so I can't.
Yeah, I
I'm not
mean
gonna. I
that
don't.
seems to be
Is
a
that
very good strategy to get a kill. Like you need to be
it's
teleblocked. Like I don't know.
the reason I don't like singles plus was, and again, this is so many different topics, and I don't want to go off on another tangent with you, but the thing that used to attract me to the wilderness was you could go there, you could mess around, you could have some fun with friends. Um, you can't really do that. Singles plus, you can. I would say singles plus, you're more effective in a team, 1,000%. Like a small team, like a group of four, probably. But you have to be focused. If you make one mistake, you could be working someone for their whole invent of food. If you make one mistake, they've escaped easily. Um, so I would say singles plus benefits small teams of really professional PKers, but it makes it 10 times harder to get into PKing, and for like the mediocre PKer, they can't mess around with their friends anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and I think singles plus was intended for like 1v1s, and that's not the case. Which I don't like the thought of having a wildy or 1v1s, because I think it'd be incredibly boring and stale. But the way singles plus is at the moment, I think it's 10 times worse than the current wildy. Um, that's my opinion anyway.
So why do you? So you're saying like normal singles versus singles plus? Like normal singles is better.
Yeah, if you got to think, if you're a mediocre player, you've come to the wilderness, you're, I don't know, PVMing or maybe trying to PK, um, and a team of 20 jump on you in the current wilderness, it's pretty hard to tank that.
Yeah,
But say you're at Chins and you can go in hobgoblins, and you have a chance, you can go in and out of cave entrances to get a box with your friend,
that's true.
um, and the fact that you need sort of 20 people to be efficient, the the likelihood of getting hit by a team is a lot less likely because the teams have to be a lot bigger. Whereas singles plus, if you're an intermediate PKer, and I'm just going to use 1013 as an example because I don't know if you know him, he's like one of the best
Oh
PKers.
yeah, no.
Like say 1013 and two of his boys jump on you, you go into hobgoblins, they can't PJ them off, so they're still on you. You can't get a box from a friend. The only way to escape that is by outskilling them and getting a freeze and either logging out under them, but they have missed seeds, or hugging a tree. If you have an experienced group of three on you, you are dead. Um, the Wildy as it is a lot easier to tank teams, in my opinion, for the intermediate and new players, and it's more fun.
Okay.
I just think singles plus would sort of ruin it, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's actually a good point. I see singles plus as a benefit. Okay, well, here, let's just kind of transition into what recently happened. So, a few months ago, they already announced that they're going to come out with PK skull prevention, and now it's finally in the game. I haven't actually tested it yet. Have you tested it?
I haven't. No.
Because I wonder if it's actually like foolproof. Like, it just works all the time. Because I'm still, I'm going to be honest. So, I have my left click attack options on, and, you know, I'm going out.
Skeptical.
I'm going out in the wildy with my eternal glory, you know, like that shit. Like, I really don't want to fucking lose that thing.
Yeah,
That
I
thing
wouldn't.
is, yeah.
No flame to Jagex, but yeah, I wouldn't be trusting that. Just just in case they've made some mistakes before.
Yeah, just a few, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I'm a little worried. I'm curious if you guys are listening to this in the comments, if you guys have tested these, like, do they work? Because what I'm worried about is if my left clicks are if my left click options are on for players, will it just not let me attack people until they have attacked me? So anyway, maybe I'll have to do my own testing, make a little video of it or something. But
Test it with some friends, don't go straight.
Yeah. Test it with nothing on as well. But
so going with your Ellie and your scythe, and you're like, I don't know why you'd have an Ellie and a scythe, but
dude, scything in the wilderness is terrifying. By the way, like I know you can't actually target an NPC and a player at the same time. Like you couldn't swipe and have an NPC and a player right there and have them hit both.
I'm not sure how that works. I think it used to skull, right? But I think they fixed that. I could be wrong.
Like, you will skull if there's multiple people. So if there's like or let's just say there's two players and a monster all within that little radius where you could scythe it. If you target the NPC, then you won't skull. But if you target the player and then your other scythe swing hits the other player that hasn't attacked you yet, then yeah, you'd skull.
Right. So if you hit a player, the effect that a scythe has will hit another player and make you skull.
Yeah, if you're in multi.
Right. Yeah.
Which is fucking terrifying. Like, that's terrifying. Did you see that guy that skulled in multi revs like years ago? There was like some video of it. Some dude was scything like the orc or something, and then a team logged in, and he was. I don't even.
I didn't see it, no, but that's.
Trying to even think of what the video was.
Day. I'm guessing he was skulled, yeah.
Yeah, he got skulled from it. So I'm like, bro, and this is back when like scythe was like a bill at least.
Oh, bad day for him.
Yeah, that's rough.
But again, I think we disagree on this because I'll leave you in a second to say what you think about the PK skull prevention. But in my opinion, that's just part of the game. You're like, oh damn it, I messed up. I won't do that again.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like now the culture's like, go to Reddit, flame everyone. I lost a scythe. When,
Yeah, and there is a good point. There truly is an argument for both sides. And I've heard a bunch of arguments against the PK skull prevention. A lot of it just comes down to people saying, quit babying the game. And I totally agree with that. I agree that not everything should be just fair and easy and all this shit. Like, the wilderness really should have some risk to it. And I think, though, overall, it is a positive for the game because there still is, I feel like people that were in my comments, I made a video, got hundreds of comments of just people kind of going back and forth on either end of the spectrum, just either saying it's like horrible or it's really good. And I would honestly say it's good and beneficial for the game because there still is risk. People say this is now removing all risk from the wilderness. It's not. You're still risking the items you came in with. But if you're not planning to initiate a fight, then you get to feel safe that your 3 items that you did bring in are going to be secured. And I just think that's a good thing for the game now because the game's evolving, PvP is dying, and honestly, this was a Reddit suggestion from years ago that was talking about this thing. When I first saw it, I was like, this is the stupidest snowflake person saying, we need to get rid of this risk. I'm like, this is so stupid. But this is one of the very few things on Reddit that's actually grown on me. Because PvP is dying, so why not try? And again, I know it sucks because as soon as Jagex puts out an update, you can't revert it, basically.
Yeah,
I know West Ham was
like
talking
5
about
years
that.
down the line, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, but like if Jagex is coming out with something, there's a very, very low likelihood that it's going to get reverted.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the issue, is there's no like trial run for this. They just put it out. I would have loved to have seen a trial run personally. Then I don't think people would be freaking out as much. But I think it's a net positive, because people say skull tricking wasn't really an issue in the first place. So why are you guys freaking out? But then if it wasn't an issue, then what's the issue with doing this? But then they're like, oh, well, there's got to be a little bit of risk. Then it's like, I don't really know.
I think with skull tricking is it's that the people always take the extremes. Again, I don't. I've never been on Reddit. The only time I go on Reddit is someone links me something.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, people are like, "Oh, these online thugs deceitfully got me." You know, like they're proper. They're acting like these group of criminals.
Yeah.
Went in with the intention to take all of their items and make sure they had a bad day. I've skull tricked in the past, and it's nothing like that. You'll just be PKing with your mates. You see someone who's not risking anything unskulled, then would be risking something skulled, and they could be toxic as hell, you know. And you're like, right, let's skull trick this guy. It's just like a spare of the moment thought, you know. It's not like an organized crime that lots
Yep.
of people like to make out. And then if you skull him, you get the loot. He made the mistake. He didn't know the mechanics. And I think that's another big thing. It comes down to the player's knowledge.
Yeah.
And when people say it's deceitful when, you know, you protect three items, there's so many warnings that will tell you only bring what you want to risk in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Scold or not, they say that, you know, at the ditch, or there's a big pop-up, you know, you have to click through it.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, whatever you bring, if you're not sure of the mechanics, you shouldn't fight back. If you know the mechanics and are confident, you know, yeah, fight back. But I also think it's very unfair with this PK prevention skull. Because I know, and again, your point is perfectly valid. You say it encourages people to fight back and more fights, right?
Yeah.
If you're, for example, when I PK, I risk about 500 mil. Is it fair that I'm risking 500 mil against a man who's in Black D hide, who has pretty much just as much KO potential as I do, and there's no way of getting him to skull? Because it just makes me not want to fight them, because my supplies cost more, you know?
Yeah. I think
it's a hard one. It's a hard one.
Yeah. And I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because generally I'm thinking the PKer's risking less. So I guess it varies based on how much you're actually risking, because I mean, you actually bring out really good gear. You see a lot of PKers. The vast majority are bringing fucking Zarishans, dare I say it. Now, generally they'll bring Mystics, but they'll risk one item that's like their toxic staff or something. And I'm talking about like PKing at Callisto or something that's like generally, it's not like Rev Caves or anything, but people are going out and they are barely risking shit. But the PVMer that's been camped at Callisto for 15 kills has now got a bag of 2 mil, has now, you know, Vigora's chainmace ether, has got a bunch of other supplies and his shit. He's the one that has it all stacked up against him. And then to top on, like, to just add on top of that, you're also adding the potential risk that he's going to lose that mace, going to lose his whatever the hell, his Vernic or whatever. That's just, I don't know.
It's very situational, I guess.
That's true.
But again, from my opinion in that, if he's the one PVMing, he's making the money from PVM. If PKers jump on him, he could try and like run and get out, and then keep his loot. If you're going in with items to anti-PK, as it's called, you probably have enough game knowledge about sculling. And then if you make the mistake to get sculled because you're the one being like aggressive to the PKer who initiated the fight, I personally think that's on the player. I don't think that should be babied.
I think it is on the player, but I've also seen how PKing's dying and people have such a toxic sort, or people see PKers, you know, you see it on Reddit all the time. And again, I don't want to like just generalize the whole player base, but you do see it, like they hate
has to be done
PKers.
sometimes.
Yeah. But think about this. On the other hand, you know, you're saying like they are making the loot from Callisto. The PKer gets all that loot, you know?
Yeah, but that's what PKing's always been. That's
Yeah.
the incentive for people to PK. It used to, no one would PK if I saw a tweet reply on your post about this podcast, and someone said, I think it was something about having like no risks. So, like if you die, you don't lose your gear. I think that's what
Oh,
has always made
that was a
the
little
Wildy
cringe.
unique.
I read that. I kind of
Well, it works for some games. Like I don't know if you heard a game called Elder Scrolls Online.
I wasn't sure if he was trolling. I'm gonna be completely honest, but yeah, keep going. That didn't look
Um,
like a real thing. But.
like Elder Scrolls has a PvP side of things, and you get like rewards from like getting like this thing called like mail. It's like you get like PvP points basically. It's I won't obviously go into detail on that, but the PvP you don't get the player's gear.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's been one of the perks of RuneScape having that mechanic because it's been so unique. No other game used to have that. The fact that you could go, you could make a lot of money, or you could lose everything. That's what used to make it so scary. And I think getting rid of that is an awful, awful idea.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at it right now. Devin was the one that said that he wants zero risk to the players. Okay. First of all, like that is just bad for wilderness. There is already this kind of zero risk kind of thing, and that's LMS. You go into LMS, you have some fun, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that is that's PvP that's done in like different games and stuff. With the wilderness, and I totally agree. OSRS is something completely unique that not other like I can't say no other game has, but because I don't actually know, but very very few games probably have that kind of thing like you said. So taking that away from the wilderness is really cringe. So I don't really understand this. I see that potential. I see like what he's saying is like PvP. So there's been like some suggestions to make like a Coliseum or whatever, and replace it with the dual arena, have some PvP mini games. But I personally believe in the risk thing. You lose your items to people, and people can just take them.
I fully see what you're saying, and I genuinely I think it would make the Wildy maybe a bit more active at first because it would be like, oh, I can just go have some fights. That's sick. But in the long term, why
Oh
would
yeah,
you be doing that?
I just want to make it very clear. Like I'm against what he's saying about
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
wilderness.
yeah. No, sorry, I'm not saying you are. So I was just saying, sort of talking to him.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Yeah, no,
it's
that would
a tricky one.
that would ruin everything. That would be some riots going on.
I think it would be good for it would definitely be good for like the people who don't PK now, but for the people who PK, it will just fully put them off and go to, dare I say it, private servers even more and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see the argument. So just going back to the PK skull prevention, I
Yeah.
definitely see both sides. I think just I think it's a net positive. And we'll have to see because, it hasn't really been out long enough to really tell. But me personally, just my personal view on it is I now have my left click options on. They've always been hidden because I just go out and do clue scrolls. And then if I get attacked, which is very rare, by the way, like fucking 1 in 1,000, I go out and I actually see somebody. And then I just escape anyway. It's always at like the wilderness agility court. Dude, wilderness agility is just like the easiest way to escape anybody when you're like fucking crossing that gangplank by the wolves.
Yeah, because it's multi as well. A lot of PKs won't chase you in there. It's
It's I just remember there was 2 people on me, and like they both went across the gangplank, and there's like a 10-second like fucking timer to get across, and so I just went the opposite, and I just logged out. I was like, this is actually busted, Jesus.
that point you just said there. Quickly going back to the singles plus or not argument, the singles plus thing we said earlier. That I think that's again what makes Woody so unique. Depending where you are, there's different ways to escape.
That's true.
For example, using the agility course, using the cave entrance, using the NPCs aggro. When you make it singles plus, it's just going to be freeze huck, and I think it's going to be so boring. Every fight will be the same.
That's a good point.
I feel like it just kills the whole thing of the wildy. The wildy is meant to be natural, and you know where you are, you know how to escape with the knowledge. If you get TB'd at Mage Bank, what way do you run? Have a lockpick on you to go in the Magic Axe huts, whereas none of that's going to be needed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. I don't really know how I feel about singles plus and stuff. I tend to just trust you guys, and I was talking to West Ham about it as well, because I don't really have a good enough I don't know. I can't really see which is better, honestly. I hear arguments to both. I've even heard arguments that they want singles plus. Like some people want singles plus, and I'm talking PKers even. I've heard that want singles plus, but they want it to not have like the 9.6 seconds or whatever. They want it to be like the full 10.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that
it's
either.
a hard one because every PKer thinks they can fix the wilderness, but they all have different ideas.
Yep.
So it's again, I don't want to come across that I'm like, oh, I know how to fix it because everyone's just trying their best, you know.
Yeah.
I think from my personal people that I've spoke to, most of the team PKers that spend all the time in the wilderness, not PvP worlds like the wilderness, are against singles plus. Not all of them, but I would say a majority. I think a lot of the guys who sort of just restrict themselves to PvP worlds where it's 1v1s like the idea of singles plus because they're thinking 1v1s when it's just not the case.
Yeah.
And my argument for that is if you want a 1v1, you can go to a PvP world. Wildy should be anything goes.
That's a good point.
But yeah,
I do kind of
it's a
agree
hard
with
one.
that. Because, yeah, like right now, singles plus isn't really singles.
No,
It's
it
just,
isn't. It's a weird in between that is awful.
yeah.
Absolutely awful.
The only thing that's kind of a positive in my eyes as the one that's being attacked is like I can't get a dude like I can't really have 20 people nonstop like dumping specs on me. I think what
Only
you
if you attack back. Only if
yeah,
you
yeah,
attack back.
that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not attacking back, they can still dump as they were. Again, that is true, but with the new bow and stuff, I would still say you take more damage by not being able to go through NPCs and get a box and get aggro. With like the three guys with their alien bows. That bow is ridiculously strong, by the way. I'm not complaining, it's fun to use, but
I know it's
it's,
busted. I
it's
like how everybody
ridiculously
uses it
broken.
now too.
Well,
Like
it's just the
it's the meta.
DPS
Yeah.
is insane and it's fast, so you can go into a spec. I don't think when they brought that in, they intended it to have an effect on PvP.
Yeah, because they were probably thinking,
It
oh, you got to risk crystal armor, but then like,
yeah, it changed. And again, with singles plus, PKers aren't scared to risk. Whereas before, if say you're PKing with a few mates, you wouldn't risk that much because in case a big team hit you.
that's true.
Whereas now there's no food chain, so everyone is bringing max gear because they are not scared because they are confident in their escapes, and the little Mystica is getting destroyed every time.
That's true.
Um,
Okay, so is that a good thing though? Because I feel like a few months ago it was the opposite, where people are just bringing Zarishans and not bringing any risk. And I understand it's extremely easy to, if you're smart enough and you're aware enough and your internet's good enough, you can escape basically any situation. But is it kind of cool that like every PKer you see is risking a fuck ton? So if you do
yes
get the
and
kill,
no.
it's just like total bank, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, that take the G. I don't know if it's G tax, but you know, like the prices at the moment of stuff have gone up so much. That alone helps a lot with that. You get like a Barrows kill now; it's like 50 mil, whereas a few months ago it was like 20 mil. That alone helps a lot, and yes, obviously it's lovely when you PK more money.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of Wildy, I don't know because normally if you're risking like a max set, you're going to be good enough not to die, or for the most part, like 99% of times.
Yeah.
And it just kind of ends these sort of stale fights that are AGS more 121 HP, screaming chants because you hit a 0-0, and then tabbing out. Um, you know,
God. Okay,
it's
I want to bring this up. I know I'm just kind of going all over the place again, but
no, it's fine.
what would happen if Rev Caves was deep fucking wildy? I'm talking like beyond 50 plus. There's a cave. It's the exact same cave as we have now, but there is literally no escaping from it unless you log out during it, and then you eventually have to escape anyway. But like, there is no teleporting out in the cave. So like you actually have to make it out of the cave and then, whatever the hell happens. But like something where just it really is, you're going in there and you're like, holy fuck, like, okay, I can't die. Is that good or is that bad? Again, I haven't even thought this out at all. There's probably just some like stupid oversight, but
No, it's definitely good and bad from the way I see it. That would mean because at the moment people with PKing caves are kind of limited to normal spellbook because you need to TB stuff.
yeah.
That would eliminate that factor. But in my eyes, that then makes it safer because if you know what you're doing, it is 10 times, 100 times easier to escape with Ice Barrage than in Tangle.
That's true.
So I think actually in the cave it will be safer. The reason I like that idea is it will make people run up to the cave in the actual wilderness, and then it makes a whole new life for it. You know, there could be a spot where people camp where they'll get someone running up there, you know?
That's true.
But yeah,
So
because
but
I've
this
always
is like
focused on
under the
Wildy.
assumption that singles plus isn't throughout the wilderness, right?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I always assume that I've got to get in there because sadly I do think it is coming. You know, I'm in the headset of it's not, but it is.
Yeah.
It's I've got to change that. But in terms of the whole Wildy, you mentioned like 5 minutes ago. I can't remember, but with not fixing the Wildy as such, because I know I said everyone has their own ideas. But you mentioned about the risk, people being like in exotic robes.
Yeah.
I think a natural way to fix that is like they've done with Revs. If they make, and this is going to sound cringe, like all them posts talking about a food chain, you know,
Yeah.
like they did at Revs. If they make something good money, so PVMers go there to farm money. With all the items in the game now, with the dins, you have a lot more of a difficult time killing that in cheap gear. So say Ankus. I always use Ankus as an example. You know the Ankus South Vault are in like level 30 Wildy?
Yeah.
Say they dropped, I don't know, to 2-3 mil an hour of I don't know what, something. PVMers would go there. And then I would say the PKers that were in exotic robes wouldn't be able to kill any. So I would think that would encourage them to gear up to try and get kills. And then it sort of spirals from there. You then get the good PKers in max hitting the Mysticers, hitting the guys in the exotic robes who are hitting the PVMers. You then get the teams involved. I think the reason it's an issue is because there's no actual reason to go in the wilderness. People can sort of just do what they want at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
so, yeah.
that is a good point. I think there's just a bunch of wilderness changes happening in the upcoming year. I know they've been talking about like buffing like Wilderness Slayer and stuff to make it more like profitable and superiors and other shit like that.
Yeah.
I always, and again, it goes both ways. You see it from a PKer's perspective. I see it from more of a PVMer's perspective. I feel like it's just very lopsided, benefiting the PKer. So like I bring up the example of like the Wilderness Slayer cave. Who the hell even goes in the first place? When's the last time you PK'd there?
Oh, I've played Mason there a few times with a group of mates. You know, like Ancient Mason to smoke stuff. But I would say you can have 20 guys hop in there, and you might find someone in an hour risking a whip, maybe.
Risking like 200 cannonballs.
Yes, it's not good. By no means is that fixed
But
wilderness.
I see that, and it's just like, bro, this is fucking dog shit to go out there. The entire cave is multi, and then the entire outside of the cave is multi until you finally reach some like arbitrary limit where it becomes singles again. But it's like, bro, if you get found, it's always a guarantee like team of 4 at least when you're in there. Like you're dead no matter what, as long as you're like above 30. Like if you're killing greater demons or something, like you're basically guaranteed dead, which is so stupid in my opinion. But I understand it's multi. Multi should just be like fucked, you know. Like if you're out on your own in multi, like you deserve to die basically. But I don't know. It's a little unfair. Like things like that, I see it as just like extremely lopsided for the PKer.
100%, and it's not worth the risk versus reward for the PVMer, which is why it's dead.
Yes.
Which again, with I think most, and again, this is generalizing, but I say Iron Men issue with the wilderness is like the dragon pickaxe, they're forced to go and get it.
Yeah, I don't agree with the forced thing, but yeah,
I disagree. Oh no, sorry, I disagree. I agree. Sorry. It's. I don't know. I think it would be much better if they didn't have them items. I know some people say they're forced and some people don't, but like because we don't really care if they can get a pickaxe, you know.
Yeah, you care about GP per hour, correct?
Yeah. Again, not me particularly, but if you're learning to PK, that is what you're going for. You know, the reason people used to do it in the day was because you could make some money from it. So I think by having stuff in the woody, we're making it good GP per hour will incentivize PVMers, not force them, but they take the choice. If they want them good at GP rates, they risk it and they could die. And I don't really think they have an argument then, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if they're hunting an item, it's a bit like, look, I have to do this.
The worrisome thing about all this is you kind of saw it with revs, you know, like multi-revs, where people generally are only making $1 million an hour because they're getting slaughtered and all this other shit, but the protected are getting 12 million an hour potentially, like on a good hour. And
Yeah.
so you just see this extreme lopsidedness, and then you would see the people that are locking down the caves would even start PVM, and then they're making bank too. So you kind of saw it. I think again, I'm not too sure on it, but I remember when they like re-released Bounty Hunter, and people were just camping like hot spots and just making fucking bank because it was just like so abusable.
Boost in and all that.
Yeah. So I always wonder, like, if they came out with something that was truly just like bust a GP per hour for like an individual to incentivize them to come out, it's just got to be overwhelmingly stupid for people that like lock it down and just take over. I don't know. It's scary.
No, it's open to be abused, isn't it?
Yep.
But it's with the GP, it doesn't have to be broken. But there's just, at the moment, there is nothing that is good GP in the world really, apart from revs.
That's true.
And that's why revs have been more active. It's nothing to do with singles plus, in my opinion. It's like, say they made the Woody singles plus tomorrow, it would be as dead as it is now because there's no reason for people to go there.
Yeah.
There needs to be a reason.
So I want to. Yeah, no, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying it doesn't have to be like broken. It doesn't have to be like 15 mil an hour. And I also think if they did do it naturally, that there would be teams that would compete with each other. Like I don't know how much you know about singles teams, but like you get like Frontline, Kanini, Solid Tag, like all the big teams.
Yeah.
They will want to be locking down the GP, so they'll start attacking each other. And it might actually bring back the team fights because that's been dead for the last year because
That's true.
it's just a whole dead like culture thing now. But
what would you think about splitting the cave, so, or maybe even extending the cave so part of it is multi, part of it's singles plus?
I
Is that cool, or is that just like arbitrary and kind of dumb?
don't know. I would love to see the cave go back to multi, exactly how it was with the fee, personally. And I don't PK in multi anymore, but I feel it's incredibly unfair for the multi PKers. They have nothing.
Yeah.
Like they have the Slayer cave, and like you said, there's nothing in there. So I feel really bad for the whole multi PK community, to be honest.
That's true.
I think by splitting and adding more areas creates a worse effect because like when they done with the caves initially before the buff, when they very first switched it from multi to singles plus, the wildy instantly died because the remaining say 50 PKers were then split into 25-25 because some went in the caves, some went in the wildy still, you know.
Yeah.
And then it left the ones who were in the wildy to get hit by teams more because that's the only place teams could PK. So then it made them feel like there was more teams and teams were an issue. When there's the same amount of teams, there's just less PKers.
Yeah, that's true.
It all spirals, you know. The more stuff you sort of add, the more spread out, and it just. I still stand by it. I think Wildy would be better off if they removed every update they've ever added. I know that's quite a bold statement, but like Ferox, just all of these things, I think have slowly caused it to be the way it is at the moment.
Interesting.
Not so much PVM bosses. I think they have their place, but I think they have to be reworked massively and changed. But yeah, things like Ferox, it just doesn't help, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I kind of think the old school version of Wildy bosses they kind of nailed it. I think. I didn't really play when they were first released, but I just imagine Callisto. It's supposed to be in multi. Everyone lures it to singles now, but like. You'd go there if his boss fucks you all up, but this was back before Iron Man, I'm assuming. I don't really know the whole timeline, but it was just you go out with your boys, get some fucking good money, because back then it was probably pretty damn good money. There was no Zora, I don't think. I don't even know when the hell Wilderness bosses come out. I'm probably just speaking out of my ass. I'm imagining 2014, but I don't actually know.
I don't know the date. It was probably 2050. It was something like that.
Maybe it was 2050. But let's just assume it was before Zora. Like you got these bosses that are actually shitting out pretty good loot, and then it was all multi, and so you'd have like a team coming and stuff. Like I don't know. I feel like the way they were designed was for its time. Now, of course, like it definitely just looks funky, and everyone knows the safe spots and
Yeah, it's just people have learnt it. I
Yeah.
think when I said reworked, I like how the bosses are, but I think the drop tables need to be reworked.
Yes. Yeah, I
And I
agree.
think the fact that they can be safe spotted shouldn't be a thing. You know, it's I don't like the concept that you can kill Callisto, you can lure it to singles and take no damage.
See, I
Um,
kind of like that, although I would be okay if they actually had real mechanics, but there was like unavoidable or there was avoidable damage all the time. I don't really like it when there's just an unavoidable 60 you take and then you got two
yeah,
PKers on you. It's like, Jesus Christ.
no, that's true, that's true. And to be fair, the safe spot thing might not even actually an issue. The fact that you can lure a multi boss to single safe spot,
That's
I
weird.
think is
Yeah.
the issue.
It's a little
I
weird.
think if it's multi, it should be multi.
You know
Um,
what's just so funny is that every single wilderness boss has the same fucking mechanic where you can just lure it to its edge and just
Literally,
kill it.
I think I've killed Callisto probably if though I've done it. I do it like Discord, like fun masses, but I've never really PVM'd like the wilderness bosses, so I don't
Yeah.
know too much about them. But yeah, I just know that whenever I see someone killing them, they're in some sort of safe spot that's hugged around a tree.
I know. It's so weird, dude. It's such a like private servery kind of thing. Just lure the boss over here and just stops attacking. You just pacify it instantly. Like what the hell?
Literally.
Okay. I will say just real quickly, we can kind of move on to some Twitter topics. But I am actually very cool with new PvP updates coming out, like new content in the wilderness because of PK skull prevention. And you might think that's really silly, or some people listening might think that's really silly that is the thing that caused me to want more PK content, or sorry, just wilderness content. Because I would always see these posts of like, oh, add all this new shit that's gonna like entice every player to come out in the wilderness so we can attack them. But now I'm kind of cool with it because I feel like we're more on an even playing field, where like the PvP or the skiller that goes out there kind of doesn't feel like all odds are stacked against them. So this is my opinion. Again, like who the hell knows when like new content will come out and if I'll actually still think the same thing once I go out and try it. But personally, right now, I do very much agree that this is a good update and can help bring out more content into the wilderness without feeling like it's completely lopsided. My opinion, my take on it.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. It's like you say, it lets if you're sure you can't be sculled, you can bring good stuff in, and feel safer, you know,
Yeah.
which is good for getting people in. I just like I say, I just personally disagree because in my eyes, the woody should be dangerous.
Yeah, that's fair.
But again, that's I'm fully open to that thing, and I don't really skull trick too much, so I'm not that against it.
Yeah.
But
It's like,
if I see someone in like D'hide and a ballista, I'm not going to attack them now because I know that they're going to have other OP weapons, and there's no way I can
yeah.
get loot from them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I try to see it from your guys' perspective. If I was the PKer, yeah, I agree. This is just a nerf for the PKers because they just now there is actually zero risk for the PBMer to ever even chance his items, you know? But if you look at it from the other end, I don't know. Again, it goes both ways. Both players
Yeah,
see it differently, but I think we've hit a decent middle ground. Of course, PKers are compromising, and it's kind of benefiting the PVMer for the most part. So
I don't think it's a generically bad thing. Put it that way. Like I don't think it'll make a difference to me. I just and I fully see where you're coming from with it.
yeah,
I just don't like the direction it's going, I guess.
it's like the potential where this could lead, like more easy scape shit, kind of.
Well, it's just like I don't like the fact I got skull tricked, fix it. Next is going to be I don't like the fact I got attacked, fix it. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it
yeah,
sort of goes down
yeah.
that route. But yeah, personally with the whole skull thing, I am against it, but I'm not like avidly against it. I don't really
Okay,
mind, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Who knows?
just
And
one of the updates.
I've heard a lot of things like it won't change anything, but I think it will. I mean, it's changed my opinion. I'm gonna have my left click options on. I'll fight back now. I'll feel good about it.
Yeah,
But
and like I say, it will make you come into the wildy in where you might not have before.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I get that. In terms of the PvP updates that you were mentioning, I don't know if we're ever getting any of them, but
But that's what I'm
it's
saying is like I'm cool now with PvP updates. Like anything to to pump up the wilderness, I'm actually pretty fucking okay with. I'm actually kind of excited for it now because, again, it's just like that balance, like that kind of level playing field feels a lot better for me. It doesn't feel like all odds are stacked against me. And I know I've said that a billion times, odds are stacked against you. I don't know why I'm saying it over and over, but
Oh, you're fine.
the other thing is, like, I know I'm an Iron Man. I chose to limit myself. I chose to go on these stupid ass hour grinds for every item, and I can't rebuy them. So it's even worse, but there's so many fucking Iron Men, you have to, like, you kind of have to see where they're coming from. Like,
Yeah,
you grind for one item. I don't know.
That argument though, again, nothing. You've said it perfectly.
I
There,
know,
you know you've chosen Iron Man.
Yep.
But when like I'm attacking someone and they say off, I'm an Iron Man. It's like
Wait,
I don't
you
care. It's like you chose the hard mode basically,
Yeah.
which fair play, massive respect for that. But then so many Iron Men choose that and they want the game catered for them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you at all. This isn't you. This is a large
And I
majority though, on,
totally
like, Reddit.
I totally see where you're going, and I completely agree. I will say, just straight up, Iron Man ruined PvP. It just did
Well,
because
not even PvP. I think a lot of things. It's like
it did.
I'm an
No,
Iron
it
Man, but I
divided
can't
the
be asked to get
community.
a rune skimmy. So
Yep.
give me one in a Soul Wars crate. It's
It divided the community, and it's made like they said they would never cater to Iron Man, but there's such a popular game mode now that
Yeah.
they cater to it every update.
Well, it's just like supplies. Like no one. And again, I don't know. I don't have that extensive knowledge on this, so I could be definitely going in the wrong angle. But no one like fishes anymore.
Yeah.
Why are you going to fish for raw shark when you can kill Zolra and get 20 times the amount? Or
That's a
like
whole other dude. We could fucking go on about
so
that.
many bosses now seem to be catered for Iron Men for the
Yep.
resources because they can't be asked to put the time in. But it's like you chose to,
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
oh,
and
don't get me started.
that's just how it is. And so if we want to, with what we have in the game right now, which is divide, tons of different modes, kind of like this unfairness, I think just this PK skull thing is just for the better with what we are working with. Again, in an ideal situation, there would be no Iron Man mode. It would just be things are bought with GP, and everyone can go and enjoy the wilderness, and there's no like special accounts that are out there that you can't like trade with.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what I mean though? Like,
I don't want to come across, by the way, that loads of my mates are Iron Man. I'm not like anti Iron Man.
yeah.
I just don't like it when they choose Iron Man and they want it easy. Like,
Yeah. Totally fair.
But I don't want to come across like, oh, this guy he's only talking about PK.
Yeah.
I have an Iron Man. I have a group Iron Man. It's you choose it.
Yeah. Let's see this. Yu-Gi-Oh asks, will you, Dino, ever give edge style PKing a try, such as DH, no arm, or organized death matches?
Ooh, I used to. I used to do Bounty Hunter, back pre-OC and when it was released in old school. The reason I stopped, and this is another controversial thing that that goes a long way, is there's an unreal amount of cheaters at the moment. If you go to PvP and you fight someone, I would say the majority of your fights will be against a cheater, and what that means is like they'll be using a weapon that doesn't have a spec bar, and then they'll instantly do a double Gmaul spec that you can't really predict.
Jesus.
And it just kind of killed it for me because it's just like, why am I here? And then another thing with that is house pulls. There's no point in staying in a fight anymore. Like once you've used your spec, people tab.
Yep.
It's the whole spec tab thing. I think house pulls kind of ruined that side of the game for me because now it's literally magic short by them twice, double Gmaul. If they don't die, tab out, go fight someone else.
Jesus Christ.
And it just doesn't appeal to me. Whereas before, because there was no real fast way of getting your spec back or as effort, people would actually fight because there's a chance you could kill them with a magic short bow to Gmaul whack. I'm talking like edge ditch PKing.
Yeah.
But because now everything's so efficient, why are you going to waste your time in that fight if you don't have a KO potential? Go get it and go again.
Yeah.
And I really dislike that. I would love to see like a timer on the pulls. I know obviously you can't with solo corp because there's all Corp, you have to like send 20 specs off it and stuff, don't you, as an Iron Man?
You actually could have a timer though. Like there's the Narda necklace that involves the Desert Elite Diary, which is the same thing as a pool basically. But like I'd be okay with a house pool timer potentially.
That's what I would personally love to see, because I think that style of PKing I have no interest in, because it is literally spec tab. Oh, I didn't hit a 100. Okay, let's try again in 10 seconds.
Yeah,
Which I do not like.
that's fair.
Well, have you ever done any PvP edge ditch PKing or?
No. Okay, so like I tried to kind of get into PK. I tried to get into members PKing. It was really tough for me because this is a few years ago when I was like actually dog shit at just like everything. So it was really tough for me to understand exactly how to like pull off Gmals and stuff like that. But I did like free to play PKing for fun and stuff. But yeah, not really much more than like LMS currently. And honestly, big shout out to LMS for teaching me how to tribrid. Like it genuinely taught me everything I know. And I can actually I feel very confident going into an LMS thinking I'll get top 2. Like I'm not bad. Like I actually
that's better than me.
like okay, it depends. It depends if there's like crazy bots or like actual genuinely good PKers. But with the average match, I can generally get to top 2. And then it just depends if the last person's just a beast or not.
LMS, I'm very for and against. It's a hard one. I think it's good. It's teaching people how to tribrid.
Yeah.
But I would say the negatives is it takes a lot of people out of the wildy, because whereas before they would go and find a fight, they now go to LMS instead.
That's true.
So it's a very, but again, for like your case, it's taught you how to tribrid, which is good. I would also say it's interesting with RuneScape how I think back in the day, tribrid PKing was seen as a very niche thing. It was all edge ditch PvP, you know, like the Darok fights, the D-skim DDSs. Whereas it seems like now, when someone thinks of PKing, they think of tribrid.
Yeah, that is actually interesting.
It's kind of shifted, and like they've made LMS to cater for tribrid. And again, I think that's why edge ditch and that have suffered, because it's kind of a lost art, I guess, in a way. Like no one really talks about it. Everything's just tribrid now, whereas before tribrid was very, very unique and very different.
Is that because of bounty hunter removal? Is that it's kind of died off? Is that like the biggest factor, you think?
I'd say for edge, definitely, yes. Ferox didn't help because, again, it split the locations. Some people would fight a Ferox, some people would fight a ditch. And I don't think there's enough activity at the moment because it's all the same style of fighting. Edge, ditch, Ferox, and PvP worlds.
Yeah.
I think that there should only be one of them, and I think they should remove Ferox and remove PvP worlds, personally. Just because I don't think there's enough people for it, and edge ditch was just much more iconic.
I think I agree with that actually. Again, I don't actually know like what effects it would make, but I've actually kind of been for just removing PvP worlds. I hate to even bring that up because it just sounds like so fucking ignorant for me to say that. Like, get rid of it. Like, what the hell do you know? You know, but like
no, even when I've said it on stream before, and people are like, yeah, you never go PvP, and I'll admit that, but.
Yeah.
But
it does separate. It does, yeah. Like it makes the wilderness feel dead. It makes the Edgeville feel completely dead. Like I do see kind of it's taking people away. Like people PK at the GE, Varrock, and like Cammy. It looks like
in its prime it was good, but yeah, you go to V Square and you'll see two guys using a bot script crystal bow ragging each other. Like PvP worlds themselves are dead, and everything's just sort of dead. So I think if you just take some of this stuff out, go back to basics, and just sort of rebuild from there is like the only really chance. Because at the moment it's just far too spread out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, I also missed Edgeville. Edgeville is generally where I see a bunch of PKers as well, but in PvP worlds.
Although you say that, but I was talking to West Ham, and Edgeville used to be like the hybrid spot.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Is it not anymore?
It's just it's dead. I was in a call with him probably like 2 hours ago time. Like this was a couple of weeks ago, but it's probably like midday-ish for me.
Yeah.
Which is not by no means the most active time zone. But every world he hopped to, there was no one there, not a single person.
Yeesh.
Which is just mad. And again, that's where I don't want to advertise it and I don't talk about it much, but private servers. I'm massively against private servers, but I know a lot of my old teammates who used to play like 4 years ago do not play the main game because they're playing private servers, um, which is obviously has a massive negative effect.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how those. When I think of a private server, I've never played one, but whenever I think of one, I just think of like corruption, like just the
Oh,
people
they
that
are.
rule them, like can just spawn whatever the hell they want, and like just I don't know, it just doesn't feel like.
Well,
I don't know.
it's everything. Like, I don't know the inside and outs, but like they get like private servers always seem like a good idea, but then
I don't even think that, but yeah.
when they inevitably end badly, which they all do, the people who own them get like they have like access to your IPs, they have so much, and then
Yeah,
they do
yeah,
stuff in the main game. They're by no means trusted, and I hate them. I hate private servers, but it doesn't change the fact that a large percentage of PKers do not play the main game because PKing and private servers is just much more efficient
yeah.
and friendly because it's just more fights. Um, I'm surprised. I don't know the whole legal stuff, but like, if I was Jagex, if you take them out, it would bring a lot of PKs back to the game, a lot. But I'm sure there's so many things they've got to jump through to get them taken down, and you know.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's definitely an issue. That's another massive issue. Again, spreading where PKs are. It's the same as PvP world. It's
Just
uh,
spreading them out thin, too thin.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't actually know that was such an issue. I've never really heard of anybody playing private servers, but I guess it's just pretty PK based, I guess.
yeah. I think it's just PK, but it's always a hard one because when I ask it on stream, when you talk about them, it sounds good, and I definitely do not want to promote people to go to them because they are not safe. Like it's not good. I just
Yeah.
want to get that point across. But I got sent a screenshot from a mate about a week ago, an Edge, and there must have been 150 plus people just fighting at Edge Ditch on a private server. Um,
Damn.
and you go to Edge Ditch in the main game, and it's nothing. And you just got to think if you take that away, they probably won't all come back to main game, but a lot of them would. It's
Yeah, that's true.
it's a big issue, but it's a hard one to talk about without making it sound good because yeah, but yeah, don't do it. It's not good.
Okay. Emo Virgin asks, why does none of the best in slot PvP gear come from Wilderness? PvP weapons and armor now, he says. Tired of subsidizing these PVM nerds. So, what do you think about
Always a good
PvP
argument
weapons?
when you always a good argument when you instantly insult them. You know, PVM nerds.
Yeah, like I wish, I don't know. Again, it's generalizing and everybody does it. Like all sides of every fucking argument start name calling and other shit. But it's like,
Yeah, I know.
bruh, if you want a
I've done it a
good,
few times.
yeah, no, we all fucking do it when we're emotional about something. But it's like, bruh, if you want to get your point across, you just got to be concise and clear and have like an actual like argument. But yeah,
Yeah.
but let's
Um,
talk about it. PvP weapons and armor that come from the wilderness. What are your thoughts?
I'm looking at the question. He says now. Does he mean the weapons that are in the game now, like the mace and the crossbow, or
I
does he
think
mean like?
I think he's just saying now is like give it to us, like
Oh,
give
okay.
give us
I
PvP.
see.
I think.
Well, we have that in the sense that crossbow and mace you can only get from the Wildy, in a way. But I'm assuming you're talking about Statius, Vesta,
Yeah, he's
that
talking
sort of
about
stuff.
PvP gear, so not just PVM gear.
Um, well, first it has to pass a poll, which is an
Or
issue in its
does it?
own.
Because they've been doing a lot of unpulled stuff for wilderness. So
Well, that's why they seem to, and this is again a very biased view, but I swear all the bad updates, in my eyes, the PK skull, which I know isn't
yeah.
in yours, they seem to put in, and all the ones that could be good, they pull and they fail.
Okay, I
Um,
will say just to counter, there is a bunch of stuff coming out, and like that, of course, is like the one that's being just like promoted and
it,
stuff. But like I think
is
there's
there though?
okay, so I need to go re-look at the thing. There's a lot of content being given into the wilderness. Yes, a lot of it appeals to PVMers, but that in turn incentivizes PKers to go kill the PVMers, you know? So like they're
Yeah,
literally doing
yeah.
revamps of like Slayer and everything in the upcoming year. I thought it was going to happen at the end of this year, but yeah, that's pretty expected for it not to happen.
On the topic of PvP weapons and armor, I would be interested in if they're sticking to the whole polling system. which I still think was good at the time, but it's bad now because of all spite voting and everything.
Yeah.
If they're sticking to that, I would like to see a poll of the PvP weapons and armor without the VLS, because I don't think that would be overpowered. I think when people think of that, they think of dead memo, they think of the VLS being dominant. I don't want to die that quick, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like the armors, say, given like nice bonuses, encouraging PKs to bring more switches, which means less food. I think that would be really fresh. But I think a lot of people are just anti VLS rather than anti like Statius Warhammer, javelins, because they weren't that overpowered.
Yeah. I kind of wonder where they would come from if they like rework Callisto, Venenatis, and Vedion. If like the PvP armors and stuff would come from them, or
Well,
I don't know.
in my eyes, literally just bring in a new NPC in like level 40 Wilderness in singles, that has a 1 in 10k chance of dropping these things. Bam, Wildy's active. I know that's a real super simple thing, but PVMers want it because they'd be really expensive. PKers want to go there because they want to get the items, and then PKers would also go there to get fights.
How would that work in
Obviously-
singles? I'm just curious, like a boss that you're killing or something in singles.
Well, it depends if it's a boss or if it's like an NPC.
Oh, just like multiple NPCs that you can just
Yeah,
kill. Okay.
I would, because I think before, I could be wrong. I think they came from Revs, the armors,
Yeah.
or the
I'm
Revs
not
had a
sure.
chance. I think it was like it was rare, but I always like the idea of having something like that, drop them, just a really rare chance, and obviously drop some other stuff too. If it's a boss, I would say multi would probably be better to try and revive multi. Maybe do both, like some things from a multi big boss and some things from singles.
Yeah.
But again, the issue with PvP weapons and why I was against it is they would be overpowered on fall-ins as they currently stand. Like a VLS. If
Yeah.
you're, like a fall-in, like a 20-man people on one person, if you can't see what they're using and you get VLS'd into a volley or a volatile staff into a VLS,
You're fucked.
that's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage.
And that's like before. Well, I mean, yeah, like when PvP armors come out, it's gonna be even worse. But like even crazier damage. So
I would really be for. I don't know about the VLS. I don't know if I'm for or against it, to be honest. But I would be for PvP armors. I would like that.
yeah. What would the armors like entail? Like what do they have to have? Any unique effect, or is it just better
I
stats?
believe it's, and I always get so scared. There's gonna be like West Ham lurking in the chat or something, like a little gremlin, be like, Dino doesn't know what he's talking about. He sucks. I was a noob back when these were a thing, but from my knowledge, I believe they gave like really good strength bonus, but they degraded. So it was something like you could do like 10,000 attacks with them, and then they disappear. So
Disappear,
again,
so not even repair with money, just gone.
I think I
think you're
could
right
be wrong.
actually, because I think they were trying to pull this kind of stuff or give like
Yeah, I think like I don't know. Did you used to do free to play PKing or anything like back in the day with them corrupted weapons?
no, I just
Right.
don't
Well,
know
in
much
free
about
to play, you could get like a corrupted Dragon Battle Axe, which would have the same effect as a Dragon Battle Axe in free to play, which is obviously a really strong KO weapon. But after using it for 30 minutes, it would disappear.
Oh wow.
Which is quite good because it kept them really expensive and really rare. There was like that in itself is an item sink,
That's so interesting. It's just like 30 minutes of combat. 30 minutes of combat or 30 minutes of just in-game time until they...
I believe combat. So what people would do would be using like a rune skim, and then for a KO they quickly put the axe on and then take it off again because that was the timer.
Interesting.
But yeah, I like that sort of stuff, and I think, for example, full Statius would fit in the game.
Wait,
with
okay.
That effect.
Let me ask: are these tradable or just untradeable? You have to get them yourself.
I would say tradable if not already broken.
Okay.
So like as soon as you put them on, I believe it used to like quote unquote break or like degrade, and then they would become untradeable.
Okay.
But I think if you say you get one as a drop, I think that should be tradable for a PK who wants to buy it, and then if he wears it, he can't then trade it.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to go about it. Because then
I personally like that idea, but yeah.
That's kind of cool. And I think I mean, who the hell knows? Because every single weapon that everybody uses and every piece of armor comes from outside of the wilderness. currently. You know, everyone's just using Ancestral, Crystal, and just all come from PVM encounters. I mean, I guess it would still be PVM, but it'd be cool to come from Wilderness. I agree.
Again, I would also say that is, and this is going back to what we spoke about for like an hour and a half ago at the very beginning when it was like when we were talking about Wildy, as to like what's its downfall. It's the power creep because you want to keep, or Jagex keep adding cooler items for PVMers. You can barrage like a 41 now, whereas before it was like a 30 was the max hit. All of these new items that they sort of added, I just know because you mentioned Ancestral and stuff, you know. And with every update they add, it does affect PKing even without meaning to. Because
and Torva is going to be crazy, I think. Because especially because you're saying like there's pretty much very little risk when you're an experienced PKer in the Rev Caves. People are going to be using Torva and shit with claws.
If I was PKing off stream, I would be 100%, and this is going to sound cocky, but I would be 100% confident I would not die with 2 brews. Like,
Jesus Christ.
You could bring that many switches. Obviously, there is an RNG effect if you get really unlucky and splash, but it is safe. On stream, you have to be cautious because, one, I'm on the normal spellbook, which I'm not as confident with. And 2, you know that a team is probably watching you to make one mistake and they will be on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a whole in the caves, you are very, very safe if you know what you're doing, which I don't like because I could be working someone for 5 minutes, make them use 12 brews, and then they catch 1 freeze on me and they're safe. Yeah. I hate that concept. I hate that concept. Wildy never used to be like that, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
and that's why people PK with teams because it's so hard to guarantee a kill on your own in the caves.
Yeah, dude. I think I asked West Ham. I'm not sure, and I have no fucking idea if this is a good idea or not. But I keep coming back to it. What if freezing wasn't a guarantee time, so it like differs? Like maybe there's still like a plugin that would tell you how long your freeze just hit, but like based on accuracy and all this other stuff, and like a little bit of RNG, it would, you'd freeze a guy like let's just say you used Ice Barrage. It would be like in between 5 and however many seconds it is, 18 seconds or whatever. Or 24.
Depending on what you hit. So what?
ticks?
Say you hit like a 20.
Yeah.
Would they be frozen for 20 seconds? Do you mean that sort of thing?
I don't think it would even have to be based off damage. It could be. It could just be like just variation. Because right now it's like if you catch a freeze, it is guaranteed this much time. What if it just differs?
I don't know. I don't like the idea of increasing the RNG effect or factor. Because it would slowly come down, if your freeze lasts long enough to get a log out, as the current wilderness is,
Yeah, but is that like fair? Because I feel like that's kind of like the downside is you hit somebody down with 10, like get them down to literally no food left, and then they catch a freeze on you, and then it's over. Like,
yeah, no, and that is bad. But I think that's the issue with singles plus and the PJ mechanic. I don't know if having the freeze thing would. Like, if I was in good gear and I kept catching freezes and they kept lasting for 2 seconds, I would be fuming. Yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily... it just comes down to more RNG,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I always just think about that. Or, like, okay, imagine this. What if there was I've mentioned this before. You probably already heard my idea, but what if there was a melt spell that has a chance? I have no fucking idea how it would work, but a spell that can melt your freeze. So
there'll be people that would be for it. I am personally very against all of that stuff. Deadman with the relics.
Yeah, I don't know what was there a relic that was like that?
There was an anti-freeze relic. So if a team got on you, you'd be able to freeze and hug in past Deadman modes, and that's how you'd escape. This Deadman, they could use a relic, or it's not a relic, a sigil. I don't know what they were called. Yeah. Where they would then become unfrozen. They would then.
Is it a guarantee unfreeze though? Like
guarantee, but it had a cooldown.
Okay.
But they would then use that, freeze you, hug you round a tree. Their teammate would get on, who had another one. So you then freeze their teammate, but then he hasn't used his sigil, so it's not on cooldown. So he then uses it, and it just kept going like that, and it was impossible to escape. It was.
Oh wow!
This Deadman was very hard. I barely left a bank, and I hate bank fights because it was. If a team wanted you dead, they could kill you.
Damn, Jesus.
Which I didn't like the concept of.
And fucking Darroch's hitting 140s and stuff.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about Deadman for a little bit? Like, What? Okay,
Yeah, for sure.
I want to hear about the last Deadman. In fact, we could kind of like even go further back and say all of your experiences with Deadman and which one was your favorite. But like, what do you think about latest Deadman? I wasn't. I'll be completely honest. I did enjoy up, like the kind of the fights up until the finale. But I
Yeah,
didn't actually really watch the finale because it was a train wreck,
you
and I just kind
you
of
missed the
stopped
bullet.
watching.
Yeah,
I kind of stopped watching. Yeah. So
Dead Man. I've played every Dead Man. Um, I think I probably missed a couple when I had to like work full when I was working full time like a few years ago. But I remember when it first came out, I played in like a team, and then I've sort of played it as a streamer as well. I love it. That's what brought me back to the game. Because I was sort of done with PKing, but I would always play Dead Man still back in like 2018 or whenever it was, 17, 18. I think the last Dead Man, they tried, and again, in everything I say, I take my hats off to the J mods. They are trying with the best of their knowledge. It's just that they don't really have a PK J mod, you know.
yeah.
But that's a topic in itself, I guess. Um, with this Dead Man, they tried to add loads of new stuff to keep it fresh, and it did kind of work. I did quite enjoy using the relics and sigils and things. Um, but I do feel like it just sort of took away from what Dead Man really was originally. I wasn't a massive fan of this seasonal. It was fantastic to stream, and like I say, stream wise was great because everyone wanted to see it. But I much prefer the original Dead Man's. The issue with the original Dead Man's is everyone just has it solved.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole nostalgia thing we spoke about with the fire striking. You can never really go back. You can't make people forget how to play a game.
Yep.
Um, Dead Man worked so well, and I love it. But every Dead Man now, there's gonna be that guy who has barrage within the first 12 hours in max gear because they have it solved.
Yep.
The reason Dead Man was fun was because the first Dead Man I remember watching a Boaty stream like a month in, and he was running around with a Mystics and a K-Bow at Karumja, and he was killing everyone. He was like, "Oh my god, this is fantastic," and it was fantastic. You could put a magic shortbow on and just go have a fun time because everyone else would be bad as well.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen now. Everyone gets slaughtered day one, and then it's dead. it's
Jesus. Is there
it's a
a
hard one.
is there a way through, I don't know, item or gear restrictions that could kind of bring back the like simple fights and more fair? Or is that just
They
stupid to restrict stuff and you should just allow?
well, they done it. Have you played Dead Man? Have you ever played Dead Man before?
Okay, I played World 45 Dead Man when it was like first
Oof.
released. I played it
Okay,
for
that's good.
like 5 or 10 minutes and I died and I lost all my fucking stats. I was like, shit,
Yeah,
because I didn't know what I was
45 was
doing either.
harsh.
Oh, it's
Um,
extremely harsh.
they used to do seasonals, and I don't know how much you know about it, but there would be a Dead Man every 3 months, um, for a few years. And with every seasonal, they would try something else. And there was a few seasons where they put XP caps and gear caps in. And I was working full time at the time, and I really liked that idea. And I don't know why they took that away. Basically, again, please tell me if you know what I'm talking about, like the gear caps and stuff.
Yeah, no,
You,
I do know what you're talking about because I do
so
kind of remember them. Well, I know they like restricted Zora and Venom and other things like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, for chat, in case someone who doesn't know, it's basically for like the first week, you weren't allowed to unlock ancients.
Hmm.
So it limited people to be on the normal spellbook, which is a lot less efficient, obviously. And then at the end of the second week, they unlocked barrows, so everyone was in mystics for the first 2 weeks, and I think that definitely helped prolong it. Um, Obviously, there's the people that want to no life it, that hated it, and they really made that known, and that's why I think Jagex got rid of it. But I think if you're looking at actual long term, and even for me now, I can no life it, but I would rather have more players and have like the caps for like XP caps. I think you get 500,000 XP a day,
Yeah,
so
and then
you could get like level 50 mage, and then that was you done for the day, and then you'd go around PKing with like Ivan's Blast, having
yeah,
fun, and that was fantastic.
I feel like that's a great thing. And in fact, if you know life, you're all. I mean, of course, you're not getting the advantage of having higher skills and stuff, but like at least you get to enjoy so much more PKing. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's why I feel like the people who no lifed it basically were saying like there's no reason to, it's not a grindy game anymore. We don't like it, which
Ah,
I massively disagree with because you can grind your stats, and there was no cap on the skills. It was just combat stats. So you could, if you want to get 99 agility, go for it, and then you have the shortcuts and things. But also, if you grinded, say, Iron Blast, and you go PKing for the first day, you could still PK and make loads of money, which would then make you more powerful when them unlocks come out because you'd be rich,
That's true. Yeah,
I
that
think
sounds like the best of
I think
both
that was
worlds.
perfect.
Yeah.
I think that was perfect, but obviously it wasn't because they stopped it. But yeah,
Yeah, I think
it's
that does work, and I agree on both sides though. I agree that RuneScape has always been whoever puts in the most fucking hours is the best. Like,
yeah,
you just
yeah.
if you
But
want to sacrifice your sleep and everything, like you, and that's kind of like the nature of Deadman. Although I will say I lean toward more of like the XP capping and stuff like you said. I think that just sounds more fun.
with a game of Dead Man, it's you have to cater to the people who work because they are the majority of people who play the game.
Yep.
So if you want to get it live, you have to make it so they want to play. Um, and the last state, they simply didn't want to because they'd have a shift and they'd come back and they'd see a bit of running around with Zuriel staff on Barrage, and they'd be like, "Why am I going to start fire striking people?" They're not,
Yeah.
It's I think the caps worked well because again I worked at the time. I worked full time, but I still loved Dead Man because I would get on in the evening, I would cap out my stats, and then on my days off I would go PK because I was as best as I could be still,
Yeah,
um,
that just sounds
compared to everyone else.
perfect. I don't know. That sounds pretty good. Do you think the cap should have been raised? Do you think that was part of the issue that it was only 500K, or do you think that was like
I
the perfect benchmark?
Honestly, I thought it was perfect because it meant for the first few days you had these unique builds, like because you had to think about what you wanted to prioritize because you could only
True.
get 500k. Did you want to get range? Did you want to get melee? Did you want to get mage? It just made it so much more technical, and I think that's better because it still favored the smarter player, but it also favored the noob.
That's true.
It's,
Damn, that actually does. Was that a successful dead man mode? Like, did
they
most
had it for
people
a
enjoy it?
while. Yeah, they had it for a while, and then I stopped playing. I want to say 20, and again, my dates are all horribly wrong,
Yeah.
and I am very scared that people were gonna flame me for it. I want to say 2018. I didn't really play for a year, um, and I believe it stopped. I don't know why it stopped, but that was it was every 3 months, and then I come back and I'm pretty sure I caught the last one of the 3 months, and then it just it went away. But I think it went away because Jagex were throwing I think it was $20,000 every tournament every 3 months, which is obviously a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, I truly believe 90%, and this is me just throwing a random number out there, but we'll go with it because it sounds good. Um, 90% of people would play Seasonal Deadman if there was no prize pool. I think most people play it for fun.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. I mean, maybe the diehards go for it, but like,
if if they
yeah,
had it so like they had the seasonals every 3 months, had the XP caps, and then at the end they still done the tournament thing, but instead of making it a big thing with the 20,000, if they done like the winner gets like this item that no one else can get, I think people would still play that, like a lot of people.
yeah. So
Um,
just like a
like a
cosmetic for the
cosmetic,
main game
yeah, like
to
a
like
like a
flex.
crown with a skull on it
Yeah,
or something. I don't know.
people. I mean,
And like if you
collection
come
log
first,
people
you
would
get
freak out. They'd be like, "Why can't I
yeah.
get one?"
But no, it could be like if you qualify for the tournament, you will get like this unique cape or something, and if you come first, you get like this crown with like a gold skull,
I
or
think
I don't
that's
know, just
fucking
something like
dope.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think people would still play that. They don't have to throw because I'm assuming that's the reason it stopped because it wasn't worth it for them to throw 20,000 or however much it was every 3 months, which is perfectly fair in my eyes.
I think they were
Um,
like more than profiting. I think the main issue. Well, again, I have no idea either, but I don't think 20,000 is that much when you think about maybe how much the player base is like growing
yeah,
because of it. I don't know.
you got again. It's you go into this past Dead Man. They had 100,000 viewers on Twitch, old
Yeah,
school, the game
yeah.
during the 1v1s. Sadly, that was 100,000 people seeing what a train wreck it was.
Every
But
time.
um,
Uh,
it was, that shows that there is that interest, and I do think Dead Man is such a unique thing, and I think having the XP caps, having it every 3 months would work still. I don't know why they don't do that. They're sort of sitting on a gold mine. They don't have to give loads of money away. They're just not doing it, and it angers me. But yeah,
yeah, that's. who fucking knows how much time it takes to like make a nice dead man or something, like if time allocation. But I will say, like, it fucking pops off every time. Even with the disastrous stuff that goes on with those finales, it's still just absolute content. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the only reason Jagged see it as a foul is because they put so much on the line every time.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was seen, and I know for a fact West Ham's going to hate me for this because he want a stage was like old school to be like an esport and stuff. But I think if they see Deadman as more of just like a fun thing every 3 months, I don't think people will care if it messes up. You know, if you're playing for like a little cosmetic thing, I think it would just be a really good 2-3 weeks every 3 months, a nice break.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that would be just no prize pool or anything. Just let players fuck around and have fun every 3 months.
Yeah, and then maybe do one once a year where it is serious, but then have like the other three, say every 3 months, three for trials and then one serious. And the three trials you'd like to think would make the serious one go smoothly because they've had the three trials.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
Damn, we should work for Jagex.
I know. I always think about like how cool would it be to like work for Jags, being able to like share your ideas, but then at the other time, like thinking of like how it would really go down is you're working at Jags and they're like, oh, we got to work on this new fishing boss. Shut up about your ideas. We got to get this shit out. We got to make money. Like, God damn.
I feel bad for JMod. I do. You know they try.
I know they. Really
Everyone
do.
knows they try, and they get so much hate and flame, and I'm sure there's so many in-house reasons why they don't do stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say this, like, just straight up, every community's toxic. Like, they have their toxic things, but I mean, bro, it's got to be so tough for JMods to really give a fuck about PvP when the PvPers on Twitter, and like, I'm not saying everyone is this way, but generally what you're seeing is PvPers just fucking flaming uncontrollably about things like that. It's like, why would you want to cater to that if like you're just getting flamed like all the time?
It's the teams, and like, again, I won't call out any teams because I can't be asked to get like DDoSed and doxed by them, because that's the sort of thing they do. If you call them out, they'll start coming for you, you know. But like, they'll be on Twitter and they'll all be like, just hit this person offline, you know, we win again, and then they kill pick, and then the chat's all full of like racist remarks, and then they're being like, yeah, I prank called their nan, and it's like, yeah, whatever, you know, like why are people gonna want to buy into that? They ruin it for themselves.
Yeah. And again, it's not everybody, so I hate to stereotype it, like that is a lot of what we see. Even like they even made a fucking post about it saying like, we're trying to talk to these PvP communities, but like they're not fucking giving like, I don't know, they're not giving us respect, so fuck them basically. Like,
well, the thing is yeah, because the teams, and it's not so much a thing now, but like last year when like the fall-ins that were a thing, the teams hated each other, and I mean hated, and it would go to IRL. Like, there was a situation which, again, I'm not going to say what teams or whatever, were getting like sent things to their families' front doors, like. It's just toxic, you know, very, very toxic. So to get them in like a call with each other is never a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's, as a streamer, obviously you just have to stay out of all that stuff. But
I wonder if that's kind of why they're promoting like more singles stuff, is to kind of separate that. Who knows? Very
possibly. Which sucks, because at the end it's an MMO. You know, you should be able to play with your mates, but there's always that exception.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate, especially like for you and like other people that just want to have fun and want to see the game thrive, and then like just seeing your own like fucking people just tear it down. It kind of sucks.
It's always a hard, because I'm all for like trash talk and stuff. I think that's healthy.
The competition with it and just everything. Yeah.
You know, getting someone and then like tell them to sit, you know, you feel cool, you know. Yeah. But there's limits to it, and people like to break the limits every single time.
Yeah. Okay, here's a interesting question. Was what sigil? So this is coming from James. What sigil from DMM Reborn would you like to see implemented to the main game or World 45?
I don't know if I'm a massive fan of the sigils to be brought in.
What were the best ones for its time, like in your opinion? Like
I would say things. I think like things like Rampage. I don't know. Do you know this? Like Rampage. Do you know the sigils by name, or should I?
Yeah, you'd have to explain them to me. Like I know majority of them, but I don't know the names of them.
All good. So Rampage, basically, every time you attack someone with a different style, you got like a. It started off as 5%, but then it went to 3% damage boost on your next attack, capping at 25%. So if you kept switching styles, you'd get a 25% damage increase,
Fucking
which I wouldn't like.
25.
I wouldn't like to see that in the main game.
Yeah, that would be.
Um, but things like there was Menacing Mage, for example, where it had a chance, had like a 10% chance to proc, and it would do 12 damage to them in two. So it'd be like two, 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 and it
Okay.
would heal you for the damage dealt. Stuff like that, I think, wouldn't break the game. I personally don't want to see it, but I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, some of the overpowered ones, no thank you.
Yeah, I just think like how interesting would it be if it was like some place in the wilderness, like an excluded area that was like you go in there, you're still risking all your shit, but there's like sigils and stuff you can enjoy just in that one little area or so. I don't know. I don't know. I just think of like little.
I think Woody in its prime, that would be fantastic. But again, it goes back to the fact in my eyes, the way to quote unquote fix the wood is you don't want to add these new areas because it just spreads them out. You just need to go
That's
back to
true.
basics. Take some stuff out, give people a reason to want to go in the wildy because there's no reason for that, and then build from there, and then start adding some stuff once that community is rebuilt. I feel like adding it now is like splitting the three PKers up to two and one. Is.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. Are you a fan of, I think Abyss was the one that I saw it from, but I think he worked on it with multiple people, that extended wilderness up above 50 wilderness? Like new.
Yes and no.
So is that good for
Fantastic
later
idea.
on, but just not right now?
I think the reason I like it is it was giving people. My whole push is people need a reason to go into an area where they can be attacked and killed. Why would you do that?
Yep.
In that post, there was many different locations that gave many different things that gave you a reason to go in as a PVMer or a PKer to enjoy it. I like that aspect. I don't really like the thought of making the wilderness bigger at the moment because, well, yeah, yeah, because of how it is. I think if there was a way to sort of intermix them by taking a lot of the stuff in the wilderness at the moment that's dead content out and putting some new fresh stuff in, I think would be perfect.
That's true.
Um,
So keeping the same land mass, but just replacing the shit with the good stuff.
yeah, yeah, and I genuinely think at the moment removing some of the things from the wilderness would benefit him more than adding more.
What are some things you'd like to see removed?
Ferox,
Farrah?
Ferox
So,
Enclave.
so is
I
that simply because it's just like it's like removing activity from Edgeville, kind of?
No, it's a safe zone in a dangerous place. Like you
But
you
you
don't have
can't.
to be scared at level 20 wilderness anymore because you can just run to Ferox.
But
Whereas
don't like. But I thought you couldn't. Oh wait, is it just if you're TB'd or is it if you're under attack you can't enter?
just if you're TB'd, just if you're TB'd. So yeah, that still has a thing because obviously most people would teleport at that point anyway. But it makes it's a hard one to explain. It makes the I don't know how to word it. It makes the whole experience just different because Ferox is safe. Even if you get TB'd, you can get your mates to Ferox and they can come and save you straight away.
Okay. Yeah,
It's like a safe area. Even if you can't access it, you can get help there easily and fast.
that's true.
It's I don't like it's the same with the whole teleports in the wilderness. Like I sound like an old man. Back in the day, if you was deep wilderness, it wasn't easy to get there and back.
Yeah.
Um,
No. When did
whereas
those like?
now there's teleports everywhere. As soon as someone needs help, they ping Discord and 20 people are there to help them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I would love to see Ferox gone. I'd love to see some of the bosses gone that are kind of dead content, to be honest. Or reworked, like get rid of the dragon pickaxes, put in a PvP armor,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
There just needs to be that reason. Has to be that reason.
I think we all have to come in with like the community as a whole has to kind of like see the wilderness as, I don't know, just try not to go off. I don't know. I think we just need like a refresher, sort of like what you're saying is like kind of like rebuild from the bottom. Don't get too attached to old ideas or old content and stuff. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. It's just
it's a
tough.
very tricky one because, like I said earlier, I would love it if they removed everything they've ever added from old school, and I might be very one of few people there. Um,
It's
you
just
want
to
to
give the
keep.
wilderness a real chance. Like they have to like clear out some of the garbage.
If they'd done it now, it wouldn't work. If they cleared it, because it's, in my opinion, it's too late. A large majority of PKers have quit, gone to servers, whatever. But
Yeah.
if they never added stuff, I still think it would be thriving. But obviously, you can never know that. That's just like, um, but it's a hard line between keeping the old school feel, but also realizing now, Woody is dead. It's a fact. There is no reason. You have to make it. You got to give people incentives. You have to make it good money. And Wildy has always thrived from that predator versus prey thing that I know a lot of people do not like. Um, but in my eyes, that is what the wilderness is. The prey go in to make some money, and most of them get out, which is good for them. And the times they don't, the PK then gets the money, and then it's good for them. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I think that's a fair dynamic, and I know we're just kind of, I'm kind of just briefly going to go back to the PK skull prevention. I don't think that's taken
oh, you're
away
fine.
from it.
No,
I
no,
think
I,
there
I don't
still is
think
that.
that is directly.
Yeah.
I don't think that is at all.
Here, let me talk about this real quick. So Hobbit brought up a Twitter topic. One of them was like, how would you fix PvP? I think we've kind of been talking about that just recently. So let me skip to the second one. He says, what direction do you see PvP go in the next few years? So with everything that's happening, not in a perfect world, but like realistically in the next 3 years, like where do you see PvP headed?
um, it's hard to like sort of describe like without like I don't know a graph. I can be like this is what the people are like, but Wildy isn't in a good spot at the moment, like at all. I would say like he was ranking out of 10. I would give it a 2 at the moment. 10 being like peak Wildy,
Yeah.
and 2 being like
Good. Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
dog crap. But um, if it's hard if it keeps going the way it's going, and I personally, it comes down to preference. Yeah, it does come down to preference. If they add singles plus, I do believe it is going to plummet even more because it's just going to be stale. It's going to be the same thing, the same type of fights, day in, day out. You
Everywhere.
can't have fun with your mates anymore.
Yeah.
But I know JMods are seeing that as like they're trying to revive it. They're trying to add some. I've had mod Aiza in my chat before, and I love Aiza. I have no flame to him whatsoever. Um, but he was talking about how singles plus is obviously a good idea because of revs right now and how active they are. But
That was
my
because of the
counter to that,
fee. Yeah.
my counter to that is the reason revs are good at the moment is because it's good money for PVMers and that starts the food chain back up. I don't think singles plus has an effect on that at all, personally.
Yeah, you're
Um,
probably fucking right because look at multi revs. It was fucking thriving. I mean,
yeah,
a shit ton of
it's
people were there all the time.
it's like we said with the Ankus. If you or not Ankus, if you made a new boss and gave it good money as the current wilderness, I am telling you it will thrive. But I just don't think JMods want to do that, which is a shame because that is what the wilderness always has been. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, in answer to the question, I think if we keep going the direction it's going, it's not looking good. But the Rev update, I do not want to come across as a hypocrite, was a good update. Um, Increasing the GP, it's increased activity, it's made streaming fantastic, which then promotes PvP more, I guess. Um,
Yeah, I think
but
they
yeah,
really killed it with the rev update. I think like those drop tables are very balanced. It's not
it's
crazy GP per hour, but it's
yeah,
like just enough to like bring people there.
it's very good GP per hour, but you have to weigh up the fact that people will be doing tank tests, will be getting attacked,
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
but
like
yeah,
I think because my thing was like I made 5 mil an hour without any like crazy uniques or anything. I think I got one like 2 mil thing,
yeah.
but that's pretty fucking good. And like I don't know, I don't really know what's good GP per hour. Like what limit is it? Like when people say it's good GP, is it like 2 mil an hour? Like I'm trying to think of like what noobs or just what any player
Yeah,
thinks is good GP per hour.
it's changed, isn't it? Before old school, like killing green dragons was good GP per hour.
Like
And then now they've added like Zora, Vorki.
yeah,
Question: Did you watch Boaty's video he done?
yes, the one where he's running Artie or not Artie,
Yeah,
the Sears
Sears, I
course.
think.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Sears. Yeah.
and he was giving his views. I agree with pretty much everything he said there. In terms of like the bosses and how like they should, in my opinion, every boss should work like Nightmare, where they're outside of the wildy, where they're bad money per hour, but then the uniques are insane, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think the wildy stuff should be constant GP per hour. And then because the reason constant GP works per hour in the wildy is because the PKers then get something. If you're going for uniques in the wildy, the PK doesn't get it. Whereas if it's constant GP, obviously they then drop that constant GP that they've been getting.
I actually think that's a really good idea, and they could literally just basically change that, like keep revs as they are, and fucking nerf the hell out of Vorkath and other really consistent moneymakers. Because, yeah, no, I completely agree. It's
you then get that angry PVMers like, don't you nerf PVM just because PvP's dead? And like I see that, but I just think it's healthier for the game if every boss outside of the wildy had its uniques incredibly high price, but it wasn't good GP per hour.
Yeah.
Like God Wars Dungeon used to be. You know, God Wars has never been like, oh, you're going to get 3 mil an hour there, you know?
Yep. You're going to get dog shit that you're not even going to pick up until you get that unique.
Yeah, it was nothing. And then you got a hill and you'd be over the moon. And I loved that. Whereas now everyone's like, okay, I need 10 mil. I'm going to go Vorkath for 2-3 hours. I don't know how much it is.
I think a big issue with Vorkath, and just talking about Vorkath specifically, is like it doesn't even have that good of uniques, and the one unique that it does have, a Skelly Visage, is like extremely rare, and it's not even like that good to like warrant.
Obviously, it would Jagex will never do that. I doubt they would do that because it's changing the whole game. It's too much of a risk for them.
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie though. Vorkath has been OP since release, and I've always been a fan of like two ideas. One is like give it keys almost to unlock Vorkath, which a lot of people aren't a big fan of. I was always like, let's just say you have to kill normal blue dragons to get a key to unlock Vorkath. People aren't a big fan of that. The other thing is just get rid of the double roll. Just make it one roll per kill. Like, why it's so busted right now.
I don't actually know what the GP per hour is at Vorkath but I know in the past, I'm pretty sure it's been like 5 mil, 4 mil an hour, right?
Yeah, no, it was pretty fucking hefty for a while. I don't know exactly what it is. Pretty sure it's at least 3 mil still, like easy.
From a very low skill boss that's completely safe, I think that's ridiculous.
And you can just camp it forever. And like you just go there. Like you don't need to kill minions like God Wars or anything. It's just simple. You just go there whenever you want.
The counter argument I always get is you have to do as a quest for it. But I don't think that's an argument. Like anyone can do quests.
That's not an argument, yeah.
Like when I've said it with Revs before, it's like, well, Rev shouldn't be this much money because you can get there forever. You don't have to do quests. And I'm like, oh no, quests. Like you can literally just grind out quests for a couple weeks and you're done forever.
Yeah.
It's not like.
Okay, so Revs right now, GP per hour is right on the fucking money. It's like perfect. I used to feel guilty. So the reason I know it's perfect is because it's good enough for me to like want to go out there if I needed money, which I don't. But it's not to the point where I feel guilty for not being out there because it's so fucking good. Like that's how I used to feel about multi-revs. Like if I wasn't there, I'm just wasting time. Like time is money. Like go out there at all times.
No, I fully agree. I think it's in a good spot. What I would like to see is more spots around the wilderness like Revs.
Yeah,
with like different sort of drops. You know, like Revs have their relics, maybe not as overpowered, but a bit safer. Like just different spots like that, and then before they add the Singles Plus update, and just see what happens with the wildy. And I'm telling you, it would be revived. But we all know Jagex aren't going to do that. but
yeah, it fucking sucks when you have these good ideas. Yeah. Like, you just know nothing's going to come of it. But like
they're set on Singles Plus. You know, they've seen Revs as a success for Singles Plus, so they're set on it.
Dude, I think I'm
massive shame.
I think I'm coming back to that conspiracy of them just trying to like dismantle teams. Like I'm sorry, like, that really does sound like what they're trying to do.
And they're trying their best, but this comes back to them not having a mod who enjoys the wilderness.
Yeah,
I think they probably have some that have an idea of PvP, but it's very different from wilderness PKing and Edge Ditch as PvP worlds. There's more teams now than there ever has been, ever in Singles Plus. They're just smaller and more efficient.
Yep.
But they just overlook that. They're like, yeah, you know, we favor the single. No, you don't. You know, if I want to go PK with some people from my community now, I can't go to singles plus because you can't have fun with it. But equally, you can get killed by a team. It's the worst of both outcomes.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad I'm listening to your point of view on it because I feel like I've always kind of been confused whether singles plus is good or not.
No,
It's just it's really
no,
yeah.
no, it isn't. But no, some people do like it, and I don't like them people. No, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
Okay, here's another thing that he asks is, do you agree with the statement people have become so good at PvP, the skill cap is so big, PvP won't ever work out? So people that think like it's too late to kind of like join in.
Yes, I agree that the skill cap is a lot higher now because it's the same with Dead Man. It's solved. Everyone knows the best stuff to use. Um, Comparing it to how it used to be, there used to be very few people that used to watch like YouTube videos. So people would just be going out and trying it. People would like peek over rubber chickens and be like, "Oh, does this hit?" You know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's very solved now. But I also believe it's a lot easier to get into PKing at the moment with things like Last Man Standing. Um, you can sort of you can get a basic skill level a lot faster than you could before. With that though, I think the only reason that's an issue at the moment with the skill gap is because it's only the real veterans and the professional, quote unquote, professional PKers are the ones that are left because all the others have quit, gone to servers, gone to PVM, loads of other stuff. I think again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I feel like if you fix the wildy and make it active, decent money, I think you will start seeing a lot more newer PKers back there, which will then decrease the skill gap because there's a lot more noobs, if
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just the community at the moment is very, very stale. It's the same professionals. They keep fighting professionals, so they get better. And the one little poor guy who comes to try and learn gets destroyed because the only people he's fighting are 10-13s, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, so I went off a bit of a rant there. But
Yeah, no, it's
that's my main point, you know?
I'm agreeing with you, honestly. I think that is just there needs to be incentive and there needs to be more reason to be out there in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another question from James. I'm not exactly sure.
Oh no, James, I know who that is, I think.
He's asking what is one item that you wish got nerfed or buffed more? So I guess just PvP.
Okay,
stuff. I don't even know.
That's a normal. I wasn't expecting a normal question to
Yeah.
be honest. I was scared of what was coming then. I don't know. Dins. I'm not a fan of the dins. I can be in max gear and I'm talking 600 mil to 1 bill risk with protect item on. Against someone in double black d'hide and a dins, and they will tank me easily. I think it's incredibly strong for zero risk. Maybe if you made dins like a mace where you had to have like ether or some sort of thing in it, which made people risk a bit more.
Yeah. Well, let me give a counterpoint. Like, it's zero risk, but like they are not like attack. Like they can't really attack. I mean, I guess they kind of can now.
That is true. That is true. That's the point of it. You know, it's meant to be very tanky, but then your default is you can't attack back. But I don't think people are aware how broke it is. I will be in max mage and someone will have a dins on and double d'hide and I will splash from level 50 wilderness to the ditch because it's...
It doesn't have any mage defense anymore though, does it? So that's just the black d'hide talking. But like I
think because it's so tanky, I think it should be true to the triangle. Because it's insanely tanky at melee and range, I think it should have like negative 50 mage bonus. You know, like for example, like Torag Plate Body, it is very tanky, but then it has a lot of negative mage. Dins doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's just zero, correct? Like it's just zero. There is no negatives, correct? Or does it have a little bit of negative?
Right now,
I can't even remember.
I want to say it used to be zero. But
I know they crazily buffed the range defense, so that's massive now. But that is what it should be.
I'm looking at the stats and I'm just depressed. Right, so
let me look it up too.
106 stab, 109 slash, 109 crush, negative 10 mage,
okay,
and plus 148 range.
Yeah.
I personally think this would be more balanced if that mage was like minus 50, so that if you had a dins, you would be tanky, but you would always be frozen. Like whenever they wanted to catch it.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I actually fucking think this is so balanced right now, but I do totally agree. Well, here's the reason I kind of think it's balanced is because it doesn't actually have any damage reduction in PvP.
Right.
So if it had damage reduction, I would think it's slightly OP at that point. But like there still is, you still have total max hit potential. I know it doesn't hit often at all, but like I don't know.
I think it's that you can count its technical weakness. There is -10 mage.
Yeah.
You can counter that by putting on Black D'hide easily.
Yeah. So what? I don't know.
I feel like it has to have more of a
-50 is
negative.
way aggressive, but I don't know. I could kind of see like -20 being like its absolute limit. Like I would actually be okay if it was -20, but the
I guess
issue is like I'm sorry, like the issue is they fucking came out with a door shield. Like
Yeah.
like what was this? Like bro, you're trying like I don't know if this was supposed to be just killing off like interaction with like PvP or something. Like
it's one item as well. It's like for example,
so
if you want to be
weird.
tanky, wear full Torag, that would be like 3 items.
Yeah, or
This
wear a
is
Staff
one-
of the Dead and like a Ellie or something. Like that's 2, but now you just have
Yeah, this is one incredibly overpowered item that
and super cheap.
they just keep. I do like the idea of giving it some sort of ether or scales, or where you need like 1,000 to activate it, and then if you die, you lose the 1,000.
Yeah, I think that would actually be kind of cool if you charged it with like even runes or something. You had to charge it with like 1,000 or like 2,000 soul runes, or I don't know, just something like
just anything. Tell you what, I am tired of killing people in rev caves with a blowpipe and a dins and getting like 5k. It takes like 5 minutes to kill them. And it's just so painful. And then they're sitting behind the dins, and they're like, "Lol, get good, kid." And it's like, "Bro, you're just standing there with the dins. What do you mean?"
I'm sorry. That's Jesus Christ. I just hit that stand. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. I think that's funny as fuck, though. I'm gonna be honest. Like seeing it from the PVM side telling you guys to sit is just so funny because they're actually like just zero skill whatsoever, just holding a door. But I'll be honest.
What I mean, they think they're so skillful, and it's like, bro, just take your shield off. Just right. There's a new craze at the moment, okay?
Okay.
Where PVMers, and I kind of don't want to say this because I'm scared that people are going to use it against me, and I'm going to see it more. But they will bring a Torag helm, Torag plate body, Torag plate legs, and a dins, and they will camp pray mage, and they will not change their prayer, and you cannot kill them. You can't. They are immortal. Because they're always praying mage, you can only half TB them.
Yeah.
And no matter how much damage you do in 2.5 minutes, you will not kill them. It's impossible. And I do not like how that is a thing.
See, I'll be as a counterpoint. I just love to just counter these things. Is like he's out there or that person's out there and they are using everything they can to just not die. And I honestly think, you know what? You've proven your point. I'm just going to fucking off you because this is just like you are now just a moving boulder right now. And you know what? Just it's not even fucking worth me even looking at you to even attack. So
yeah, no, and it incentivizes risk and reward again, which is good. If you risk more, you're tankier. I like that concept. But I just think it's stupidly broken at the moment.
Okay, here was actually a topic. I actually don't know if this was... Let me try to find this real quick. I can't remember if this was on the topics or something I just read somewhere else, but it was something like if you prayed the wrong thing, you would take more damage instead of just not praying at all. So like if you were praying mage only, then like the other person's... Like then your melee defense actually gets like anti defense, like it gets worse. Or what am I even trying to say? Basically, like
I know what you mean. So if you play the wrong thing, you get penalized for it. Basically, more.
Yes, yeah.
I personally like that idea because I like to think of myself as kind of good at PKing, but thinking that from a community point of view, I wouldn't like that because I think it just makes the skill gap even harder.
That's true.
It makes it harder for the newer PK,
Yeah, I think for the most part I'm against it, but it's still kind of a cool idea. Because like think of that situation where the dude's praying mage the whole time. It's like then he's more vulnerable and he's penalized.
The bow starts hitting 50s.
Yeah, something stupid like that.
No, it's an interesting idea, but I do think it has more negatives than positives.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I've just
Okay.
seen. I know again. I
No,
don't
go
want to
go
get
for
you
it.
off topic. On Twitter, they just made a post about a PvP team or something. Um, it's coming to Jagex. I don't know.
Oh shit.
Um,
Like
I'm pretty.
like they're being flown out or something to talk or what? I'm confused.
No. Sorry. From what I can see, because I was sort of reading and talking, so I might have got the wrong end of the deal. But like they're redoing their teams to have more people focus on PvP things, which
Oh, okay.
sounds pretty good.
I thought they were flying out a fucking
No,
PK
it's the way
team
I
and
said
talking
it. That
about yeah.
it was me. That way, it
Okay.
wasn't you.
Okay.
But it sounds. I haven't read it properly, but it sounds kind of hopeful. I just saw it because I just refreshed Twitter.
I think the
Um,
cool thing is like with how many mistakes Jagex makes, I think they're improving each time. And it might be very, very, very small steps in regards to PKing. I don't really know, but I see it like for PVM and other updates they do. It's like every year they're getting a little more just they know what works and
better.
what doesn't work. But
It's. I feel like sometimes, or a lot of the time, PvP related, the updates are a big miss of their intention. But I do believe they always mean well. Like,
yeah,
and
that
especially certain mods, Aiza, I think he's seen as like the PvP guy now in a lot of people's eyes anyway. Um, he tries his best, and I massively respect that. He does miss sometimes, but having someone like try, and even Mod Light, she's been in my Twitch chat before asking for like feedback and just things like that. It's so nice to see, because I think that's very rare. You get that like people who genuinely you do think they do care about the game
yeah.
and they do want people's inputs. I just feel like there's sometimes from what they get told to what comes out, it gets lost a little bit along the way, which probably isn't their fault. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
just kind of piggybacking on the just the J mods being great. They really fucking are. They really try, and it's apparent that they're trying. Like Mod Light especially goes out of her fucking way to just do anything for the community basically. Like try to understand and try to do something about it.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I say she'd messaged me before asking. I think it was when the Singles Plus blog was released, and I was like flaming it on Twitch, trying to sound like all cool. And then she came in my chat, and I absolutely crapped myself. I was like, "Oh no!"
oh
But
god, yeah.
no, it's good. It's good to see because they genuinely do want feedback. It's just I think they've got to get a little bit better at the process from then getting that feedback and then implementing it in game in some way. Um, but yeah, it's it's definitely a positive to see that.
Yeah.
I've noticed I feel like when I watch this back and I'm just gonna say but yeah 50 million times. I feel like I've said that far too much.
There's always like a few little sayings or a few little filler words that I use all the time, and it's so fucking painful to listen back. I can't listen to my own podcast back. It's just
I'm
so
scared.
painful. Here's just a little shout out from Andrew. I just escaped Dino this morning. This is 2 days ago at the Rev Caves. That was some scary shit. Him being an ancestral and Bofa and volatile. I'm so glad he didn't have a team. I suppose my question is, when are you going to get 89 agility?
I I am very much at a time at the moment with the game that I want to I switching, and this is more like a personal thing. Switching to full-time streaming from doing it part-time as fun is actually very not challenging, but it's a change.
Yeah.
Um, so I try, and again, this is probably far too deep of an answer for what the question was actually intended, but I try now to play very little off stream so that when I play on stream, I really enjoy it. Does that make sense? Because otherwise,
Yeah,
it feels like it's all I do.
that makes total
Um,
sense.
and when I play, I now because I play for less time, I want to make sure I'm doing something I enjoy and I play for fun. I do not enjoy running around the rooftops. I uh, I am lacking in the skill department, that is for sure. But that is my reason to it. I only really enjoy PK inside of the game, and I have done for a while. So when I log on, I want to make sure I'm trying to PK.
Yeah.
But that does have disadvantages because the amount of people that escape me with them things, and then I get flamed. Yeah, it's my own fault. But yeah, that's my reason for it anyway.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. You know what's funny is I'm literally running rooftops right now. Just fucking
Don't know
like
how you do it. Don't know how you
no,
do
no,
it.
no, no. I can't run rooftops if I'm not doing a Sae Bae cast. everybody. Okay, so I just imagine my YouTube audience sees like the Sae Bae cast if they're actually watching it. They're seeing me do all these like absolutely horrible, tedious grinds. But dude, it's because I'm doing the Sae Bae cast. I don't even think of this. This is the perfect time for all those listening. Do your most absolute AIDS grinds while you're listening, or I mean, it's better when you're actually talking.
Not gonna lie, I feel like I've missed out on some agility XP. I feel like I should have been doing this. I was too scared. I was like, no, I'm gonna fully focus, you know. And
Yeah, no, this is literally why every single cast has some like really tedious, just boring skilling, because it's the perfect time to do it. I haven't even noticed any of this time fly by. So
especially with you, you're so used to doing like podcasts and stuff now. It just comes naturally, so you can sort of chill. I'm over here like shaking, like oh my god, what place?
I will be honest. So every single guest I have on, for the majority, I still get like nervous. It's not, and it's just, I mean, think about you. Like you literally stream every single day. Like
Yeah, I guess it's the same for streaming. I never like whenever I push start stream, I'm like, but then as soon as you do it, it just goes away, you know.
Yeah. No, that's the same thing here. Like I think it's like the buildup of it. Like if I've never talked to somebody, like majority of guests I've never actually talked to in a call before.
Yeah.
So I always get a little, like last week, dude, I talked to Untitled Chapter, who's this Reddit guy. I don't think anybody had like ever heard his voice before. So I was I was getting nervous. Like, dude, am I gonna like? I was just like, what if I can't like? I don't even know what I stress out about, but I always think like this might be weird or something.
When I have someone on the stream, well, I wouldn't say notorious. I'm a noob, but like I don't socialize with other like creators much at all, especially compared to some. Some are like always, you know.
Yeah, some just mesh with each other and just have this huge
I've kept very independent, apart from when I spoke to West Ham regarding the Battle Royale. That's like the first time I really spoke to West Ham properly, and Method and that sort of stuff. And then I've started speaking to a few, like there's Reese, Stewie, I sort of get on with now.
Yeah.
But I'm very much, I don't talk to people because one, I just don't like talking to people. No, in the sense of like I'm very independent.
Yeah.
But there's another one that you don't know what they're like until you talk to them. So I could imagine when you're doing a podcast, you don't know, someone could be like a complete dick, and then you're just sort of stuck here, you know.
Yeah. No, I get really nervous sometimes, and I don't know what to expect.
Yeah. No, I fully see that.
Generally, streamers and YouTubers, like I've heard them so much that I already kind of know what to expect. Like when I was getting you on, I was like, okay, like I've watched enough Dino to understand like who he is and stuff, but
I appreciate. I just come on. I'm a complete diva. I'm like, yes.
No. So
no,
here,
it's
I actually no. You go ahead first.
No, I was just gonna say it's definitely a tricky one. By no means I can't think of one streamer that's like, oh, I hate him, you know. But I just mean, in my mind, it's like, I'll just do my own thing, you know. Don't take the risk.
I think I'm pretty similar, especially when I end stream. Like when I end stream, I kind of just do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a bad thing or not, but like I feel like some streamers are extremely social where like after their stream, they're in the Discord all night, you know?
Yeah.
With the boys or something.
To be fair, I think I'm quite good with that respect in terms of like my own community, in terms of Discord. Like we do PK trip stuff off stream, but like I feel like networking is not a bad thing. It's a bonus. But then like going to other streamers, be like, yo, like I can't do that. But I think that's a big advantage personally.
Yeah. No, I'm actually better
at... It's just me being an idiot.
I think I'm better at that. Well, it depends. Like, do you enjoy watching Twitch more than you enjoy streaming? Like, or I guess it wouldn't have to matter if you enjoy either more, but...
I watch streams a lot. Okay. I just very rarely type.
Yeah, so you're just lurking.
I'm a big lurker.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the difference. Like, I'm always watching Twitch, and so I'll interact all the time if I'm not doing anything in-game that's crazy. But... yeah, I think I struggle mainly with just kind of keeping that conversation, like the community growing off stream, because when I end stream or when I'm just like doing my own thing, I want to do my own thing basically. So
yeah,
I think every streamer has their own like struggles and stuff. But...
oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'd say in terms of what I've got to improve on, it's like talk to actually other creators, because I've had it before where people have been like, they're just like Twitch chat. It's probably them just being gremlins, you know, but they're like, you're very like ignorant, like you arrogant, you don't talk to other streamers, and it's not that at all. It's just that I naturally I'm just not like that.
Yeah. I think
But yeah, it's definitely something I've got to work on.
yeah, but I don't. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like that's just how your personality is, and yeah, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. So I don't think it's something you need to change. But if it's something like you feel like you could do better at, then that's fair.
I have no idea how I changed the conversation to that, by the way. Twitch chat's probably going to be like, who the hell asked Dino? But
no, I actually kind of want to talk about it a little bit more. So you're a full-time streamer now, and
yes,
like, I guess how is your lifestyle with that now? Because we were kind of just briefly talking about it a little bit, like how now you kind of just play the game when you're streaming, which is really smart. If you're playing all day and then you go live and play the game some more, it's just like, Jesus.
yeah, it was tricky. And again, I do not want to come across and make it out like, oh, streamers have it so hard. We're doing the hardest job in the world. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say, and I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to be able to do what we do, be it part-time or full-time.
Yeah.
The fact that we've got like a good community and stuff. But when basically I worked a full-time job and then I streamed 2 days a week, worked 5. So this was my day off. This was what I looked forward to, streaming. And as I was progressing a bit, and by no means am I saying, the whole COVID and everything, by no means am I saying that's a good thing, but I don't think I would be able to be a full-time streamer without it, because that gave me that leeway from work where I could try it.
Yeah.
And again, by no means am I saying it's a good thing. It's awful, I know.
I know, but it
did give me that time.
No, I totally agree with you. Like it benefited a lot of streamers. I mean, even Bodhi was saying it. He was saying like COVID's like one of the best things for streamers.
It got me off work basically for a few months, where I could stream pretty much full time, and I loved it. And then I went back, and I was like, I do not want to be here. It was just some retail job. Like, by no means did I give up an amazing job, which again made the decision even easier. And I was literally, when I went back to work, I was just devastated seeing like numbers drop because I was doing something I hated.
Yeah.
And that sort of pushed me even more. And then I dropped a day, so I went 4 days at work, 3 days streaming. I then went 3 days at work, 4 days streaming, and then COVID hit again, another lockdown. And then I went full time, and then I quit my job. And I was like, right, we're just doing this, we're sending it. Because I got to a point where I was earning more money from streaming than my work, and I hated my job. So it's kind of an easy decision, It's like I'm doing something I hate and earning less money.
No, I remember.
So that definitely made the decision easier.
I remember like starting out streaming, and I remember like I would call my parents, like I'd call my dad when I was first starting. I was making like fucking nothing because I was averaging like 5 viewers or something. But
that's how everyone starts. Though, most people.
And so he was telling me, he's like, why don't you go get a part-time job? Keep in mind, I moved to Alabama with my brother. Alabama's minimum wage is $7.25, and it's like
big risk.
It's like, dude, like he was like, why don't you pick up a part-time job? I'm like, bro, like I would be it would not be worth the absolute misery of working somewhere for $7 an hour, just making like barely enough to even fucking drive there and eat your lunch there and then come home and pay all the taxes you need to, like, oh my god.
Thing is, that helps though. It's a really hard decision to make, and a lot of people don't. And I'm very bad with it, but you have to kind of go all in. Like, I'm assuming that's what you done. You moved, you went all in, you were forced to make it work,
Yeah, it's either you go all in or you just eventually have to stop, like, because you're just going to go homeless.
Yeah. So. If you always have like a safety net, it sometimes, and I'm cringing at myself here. I'm not trying to give a motivational speech. Like, I play a paint game, but if you have like a safety net, it doesn't make you go as hard for something.
I think you're totally right with that.
Yeah.
I think it's like responsible. So there's like a difference between like being responsible and then like really going for something you're passionate about. Like, I totally understand. You shouldn't be quitting your job when you reach 100 followers on Twitch. Like, you should, if you got something good going, but like at the same time, if you're a young bachelor that's just fucking doing something, like might as well just try to go all in for it and see what comes
Yeah,
of it.
go for it. What I was going to do is I was going to go for it for 6 months, like quit my job, go for it for 6 months, see what happened. If it doesn't, we then do something. But I say it just happened. COVID came and it gave me the free ability to do it without taking a risk, which was perfect. But yeah, it's tricky because I always want to encourage people to stream, but I forget sometimes how lucky I am to be in the situation I am. A lot of people want to stream, and some people have families, and it's like they can't risk quitting jobs, and
I say everything I say with the attitude that with the mindset that you're a single individual without taking care of kids or a spouse or anything. Like you're just doing.
Definitely not impossible, but it's harder.
There's got to be like, you got to be more responsible. For me, dude, if I didn't make enough money, I could just fucking go pick up I was like, I'm not like a drug addict. I could just like go get some money somehow. It's like I'm not like hurting anybody in the process. I'm only hurting myself. Like, I'm not taking care of
I live off like pot noodles, so like my expenses.
That was me.
It's not.
I'm totally.
I don't have to like buy for other people, and
No, and I was working beforehand, so I had some savings saved up, but like, I knew nothing inherently bad's gonna come. In fact, this is probably like the biggest learning experience of my life, trying to do something that I want to do and seeing.
You gotta take the risk, and it's paying off.
Yeah, no, it's been like literally the best. It's almost been 3 years now, and it's just been a fucking journey the whole time. I would never change it for anything. Like, it's just.
When we spoke before we started today, you said you've been doing the podcast for like a year.
A year, yeah. Yep.
You've had some pretty damn big guests on, even people like JMods, for example. Like you had Mod Sween on, didn't you? And things like that. Like, it's pretty impressive within a year.
It's crazy because of how easy it is. Like, I know I shouldn't say that. I should say, it's very prestigious to get these people on. But listen, like, I got Foe on, and I didn't even ask him. Somebody on Twitter asked for me, and I didn't even ask him to ask him. He just.
Well, I think it's because, and again, I don't want to become across as like a simp here, but it's people who are like interested in what you're saying. And at the end of the day, everyone is just a person. Like, so they want to do it, It's not so much like them doing you a favor; it's that they want to do it. And then,
I think sometimes we put too much of a pedestal. Like we put a pedestal like on individuals. Like, I see Foe as just. I even see the same thing with like Bodhi or even Torvesta. Like asking like Torvesta or somebody to be honest, like, bro, you're out of my league. But like, I swear to God, dude, like the majority of people that I ask, as long as it's something they're comfortable with, because I have asked guests and they just don't want to be in a podcast long form situation, which is totally fair because I don't think I'd want it either.
That was me. I hate the thought of it, but obviously with this as Wildy, I kind of confident what I'm talking about.
And
I feel like it's a good look,
And it's just like, it's just a conversation, and when you get into it, it's like fine. The majority of my guests have all been like nervous to come on and don't really know how it's gonna go, and then every single one of them's like, that was totally fine.
Yeah.
So. All right. We've pretty much covered like everything. Is there any like certain big topic that we missed that you'd kind of like to cover?
Not that I can think of.
Because
we're gonna regret saying that. I'm pretty watch it back and be like, I didn't talk about that.
There's always a million things we could talk about, and there's always more time. Like, next year, 2 years down the road, I might get you on again, and we could just see how PvP is going. But I think for the
most updates still, it's still the exact same.
It's worse now. Hopefully it'll improve. I think there's potential. I try to look at I don't know. I try to be optimistic about things. So I think there's some good stuff next year for PvP. I'm excited.
Hopefully.
So let's kind of wrap things up. But before we wrap it up, I need to ask you for 3 shout outs. So I like to ask my guests for 3 shout outs. Could be from anybody in the community that you feel like deserves it. Doesn't have to be top 3, just any 3.
Oh no, you put me on the spot. I'm scared. Well, people I'm shouting out who like I think is doing really well.
Anybody. It could be like maybe a viewer of yours or a streamer or a player, just anybody, a JMod. I don't even know, just anybody in the community.
I would definitely say West Ham because he's like the first quote, I'm cringing as I'm saying it, like streamer friend that I sort of had, and he sort of helped me a lot. Like I said, we was in Method together. We had all that.
Yeah.
Proper nice guy, and he's killing it on YouTube at the moment. He hasn't been streaming too much of late because, well, PvP is dead. But he's been doing some YouTube bits, and he's been killing it over there.
Shout out West Ham.
I
I
don't,
fucking love that guy.
he's a lovely human being.
Yeah.
He's a dick sometimes, but he's
Yeah. No, he's good guy. Anyway. Keep
yeah,
going.
no, for real. And I'd say the Battle Royale, I would say, is the main thing because that's the first time I've ever worked with someone. And I realized he was just as much of an idiot as I am, so it worked well. Then I would have to say Nilki. Not so much. Do you know who Nilki is?
I don't want to say no, but like just give me a
No. That's fine. She's not. She's like does loads of emotes basically. She's done. I think
wait.
one.
Is she? Wait, is this something I saw on Twitter recently? Like, is this the person that made the golden gnome? Like, fucking
Yeah,
thing?
she's up for a gnome, best new artist.
Yeah, but was she the one that made like the gnome jump out of Zora and started like fucking?
Yes,
Jurassic
she does
Scream?
everything like that.
Okay,
It's
that was
insane.
crazy. That was awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try and pretend like I don't speak to her loads. We're not like best friends. She's
Yeah.
been in my chat a little bit of late. She's made one emote for me before. But she's done so much for like I think West Ham. This is kind of loads of shout outs. So yeah, but West Ham, Bellis, Reese. I think Skidler, Skill Specs. She just makes all their emotes for free because she enjoys it.
Wow.
She does so much for like just every streamer I've spoke to. And I messaged her literally the other day because I've never wanted to reach out because I feel like she's too busy. But straight away she was like, "Oh yeah, I can do that happily." And honestly, just an absolute hero.
Wow.
She would just do anything for you, just because she can, and she doesn't charge. And yeah, it's insane.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And other than that, I guess I'll just say my mods because if I don't shout them out, they'll like ban me from my own chat. So, but no, I am very thankful for my whole community. Genuinely, we have a very unique thing because I think it's because we started from multi-PKing. We were sort of like a team at first, sort of built up from viewers. A lot of people don't even play the game at the moment. They're taking breaks from it, waiting for league and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're still in stream most days, like helping out. Flaming me. By no means are we nice to each other, but they, it's just like having like a friend, like mods, VIPs, and just anyone in the community. Right now, I'm looking at my Discord and there's a PK trip going on. It's so nice to see.
That's awesome.
It's nice that I don't have to be there to start stuff, which I'm very, very thankful for. It's sort of branched to the point now where everyone sort of is getting on with each other without needing me, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Dino, it's really been a pleasure talking to you today. Like, this went fucking well. I've enjoyed the whole almost 3 hours at this point. So.
But it went a lot smoother than I thought. I thought I was going to come on, say something about the wildy, you tear it down, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have nothing else.
No, I realistically, like, just basic overview, I really do care about the game, and I want the game to thrive in all aspects.
Yeah.
And so I really try to look at what's going to help the game. And I know that's very generalized and it's very compromising and stuff, but like I really try to see what like long-term health of the game is. And so
yeah, it's just like I said earlier, everyone has their different opinions and no one is wrong. It's just trying to work out what is the best way to go.
Yep.
Which is not easy.
It really isn't. Then it'll just continue like this way. Like there's never going to be the perfect solution. I think we're always going to be working towards something. So
yeah,
I enjoyed the conversation. I think we got a lot out of it. I did at least. So hopefully,
yeah, no, for real.
Yeah,
thank you for inviting me on.
It's been tons of fun. So I will have your Twitch, your YouTube, Twitter. Is there any other links you'd like provided in the description?
That's more than enough. I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
if people want to see me die live and get destroyed by PVMers,
Yeah. Here, let me ask. When do you stream normally? I guess we can convert it to like fucking.
Yeah, I stream a bit of a weird time zone. I stream early GMT. So I stream like GMT from about I say 10, but I'm always late, and my chat always like I open my stream and my chat's angry at me before I've started streaming because I'm late. So say about half 10 till about like 4, every day but Thursday,
Awesome.
GMT.
Go check him out, guys. Great streamers. Seriously, just absolutely killing it on every level. So it's an honor for me to have gotten you on. It's just really cool. It's a nice variety as well to get another PKer on. So
For real, honor to be here, and I appreciate it a lot. You're smashing the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, next week, guys, Puggin will be on the cast. We're recording on Monday, premiering it on Tuesday. So there will be a tweet out soon, getting topics for that. But look forward to that. I'm not going to announce the next guests, but there are a few in the works. So look forward to it. But thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.